Have you ever felt an invisible tug towards something, a song, a trend, an idea, and wondered why? It's almost as if unseen threads run through us all, gently guiding our thoughts, tastes, and choices without us even noticing. These are the invisible strings of influence. They're not loud orders or obvious rules. They're the quiet suggestions woven into the world around us, social norms, family expectations, popular opinions, and even the stories history leaves behind. Long ago, philosophers like Plato wondered if what we see is all there is, or just shadows dancing on a cave while illusions shaping our reality. Today, psychology calls it social conditioning, the ways family, schools, friends, and culture teach us what to believe and how to behave. It's like learning a language by listening to everyone else. Think about music. Maybe you didn't love a song at first, but after hearing it on repeat with your friends, it somehow sticks. Or fashion. Suddenly, everyone's wearing something, and you catch yourself wanting to try it too. No one commands you to like a society, simply nudges you along. Noticing these invisible strings can be powerful. It's the first step to asking, is this really me? When we see how much outside forces shape our likes, habits, and dreams, we can choose which strings to keep and which to gently loosen. It's a quiet, freeing strength, realizing you can listen to the world's suggestions but still decide for yourself which path to take. And speaking of paths, have you ever truly looked at your shoes, not just glanced down but really looked? They're more than just things that protect your feet. In a way, your shoes are silent storytellers, carrying the marks of everywhere you've been. Every scuff and crease, every bit of worn down sole is a hidden clue or record of your journey so far. There's the dried mud from that unexpected rainy walk, the grains of sand from a beach day, the tiny scratches from a forest trail. They're not just dirt, they're memories. Thousands of years ago, people wrapped animal hides around their feet to survive harsh journeys in rugged lands. Back then, shoes weren't about style, they were about possibility. They made adventure and discovery possible. Life itself has long been described as a road or path we traveled. Our shoes have always been quiet companions on that human journey. So, next time you slip on your shoes, take a moment, look at them. See not just a pair of practical coverings, but a map of the steps that brought you here. They've witnessed your errands and adventures, your easy days and your hardest ones. They carry stories you might have forgotten, little reminders that every path you've walked has shaped who you are today. Sometimes, to understand where we're going, we just have to notice what we're already carrying and what's gently pulling us forward. Have you ever stopped to wonder why people do what they do? Why does someone choose kindness, even when it's hard? Or why does another person make choices that seem to cause pain? It's a question as old as humanity, a deep puzzle. Here's the thing. Human action often springs from a mix of needs, wants, and beliefs. We're all trying to fill some kind of gap, to reach for something, or to avoid something else. For thousands of years, thinkers have pondered this. Ancient philosophers, like those in Greece, saw us striving for a good life, for happiness, or for what we thought was right. They believe we act based on what we think will bring us closer to our goals or protect us from harm. Our actions aren't random. They're rooted in what we feel, what we need, and what we believe about the world and ourselves. Think about a friend who spends hours practicing for a school play. Why do they do it? Maybe they want to feel proud. Perhaps they want to make others happy, or they love creating something beautiful. They might even fear failing, and that fear drives them to work harder. All these feelings and hopes push them forward. Their actions aren't just about showing up. They're about deep desires and hidden fears playing out. Understanding this helps us see others with more compassion. It tells us that even when someone's actions seem confusing, there's often an underlying reason, a personal story, a need they are trying to meet. It's like looking at the roots of a tree. You only see the branches, but the real power comes from what's hidden beneath, reaching for what it needs to grow. This insight changes how you see everything. It reminds us that every person is a whole world of reasons and feelings. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times the moon has gone through its full cycle since you were born? From a sliver to a glowing circle and back? We live in a world full of rhythms we often don't notice. These are the world's quiet cycles. Here's the thing. A quiet cycle is like a silent, steady beat the universe keeps. It's a repeating pattern moving in the background, shaping everything without us seeing it. Think about a tree growing from a tiny seed, becoming strong, dropping its own seeds, then slowly returning to the earth for new life to begin. That's a quiet cycle. It's not loud, it just happens again and again. Long ago, before clocks or calendars, people depended on these cycles. Ancient civilizations, like the Egyptians or early farmers, watched the sun's path, the moon's changing faces, and the return of seasons. They saw these patterns as proof of order in the universe. They used this knowledge to plant crops, hunt, and plan their lives. It was their way of making sense of the world, a deep connection to the Earth's natural breathing. Take ocean tides, for example. Every day, water slowly creeps in, covers the sand, then pulls back out, revealing the shore. This happens twice a day, every day, powered by the moon's invisible pull. Most of us just see the beach, but the ocean is always performing this gentle, endless dance. It's a powerful, natural rhythm, always moving, always returning. Once you grasp these quiet cycles, you start to see them everywhere, not just in nature, but in your own life. There are cycles of happiness and sadness, busy times and quiet times, learning and resting, and that's why it matters. Understanding these steady loops can bring peace. It reminds us that change is natural, and even when things feel uncertain, a larger, calm rhythm holds it all together. It helps us feel part of something much bigger and older than ourselves. Have you ever looked at something and seen one thing only for someone else to point out something completely different? It feels like magic, but it's your own brain playing a quiet trick. We often think we see the world exactly as it is, clear and true. But here's the thing, our brains don't just record reality, they build it. They take bits of information, then fill in the blanks, guess what comes next, and even sometimes make up details that aren't really there. Think about this. Hundreds of years ago, smart thinkers wondered if what we see is truly real, or just a shadow, like in a famous old story about a cave. They knew our senses can fool us. Our brains try to make sense of a busy world, so they create shortcuts. These shortcuts help us react fast, but they can also make us believe things that aren't quite right. It's not that our brains are bad, they're just working hard to protect us and make life easier. Think about an optical illusion. You know, those pictures where lines look bent but are actually straight? Or a drawing that can be two different things, like an old woman or a young woman, depending on how you look. Your eyes send the same information to your brain, but your brain chooses one way to make sense of it. Once you see it one way, it can be hard to see the other, even if you try. It's like your brain got stuck on its first guess. This idea helps us understand that what we believe might just be one way of seeing things. It teaches us to be a little humble about what we know. Maybe the most amazing trick our brain plays is showing us that there's always more to see, more to understand, if we learn to look beyond our first thought. It's a quiet reminder that our personal truth is just a small part of a bigger, more mysterious world. Have you ever stopped to think about why we're so drawn to things that are free? Is a powerful word, isn't it? It sounds like a gift, a bonus, something you get without giving anything back. But here's the thing. In life, very few things are truly free. Often, what seems like a gift actually comes with a hidden price tag, even if that price isn't money. This idea that there's no such thing as a free lunch has been around for a very long time, taught in economics and simple life wisdom. It means that even if you don't pay money directly, someone, somewhere is paying, or you're giving up something else important. It's not a new thought. Thinkers from ancient times and later economists understood that resources are limited. If you get something without paying for it, the cost is simply passed on, or it's paid in a different, less obvious way. This could be paid through someone else's hard work, the health of our environment, or even your own time and attention. Think about a popular social media app on your phone. It's free to download, right? You don't pay a monthly fee to use it. But is it really free? Here's what happened. The app collects your data, what you look at, what you like, who your friends are. It uses this information to show you ads, or to understand how to keep you scrolling longer and longer. So, while you're not paying with dollars, you're paying with your personal information, your precious time, and your deep attention. Your focus, your thoughts, they become the currency, the very thing being exchanged. This understanding isn't meant to make you worried, but curious. It's about seeing the world with clearer eyes, understanding the unseen threads that connect everything. When something is offered for free, it's worth pausing for a quiet moment and asking, what am I truly giving in return for this? What is the hidden exchange happening here, beneath the surface? This teaches us to value things not just by their obvious price tag, but by all the subtle connections and costs that make them possible. It's a soft, quiet reminder that every choice, every convenience we enjoy has ripples that we might not see at first glance, but that are always there. Have you ever gazed at the ocean, so wide and endless, and wondered what truly lies beneath its shimmering surface? We often see the vast blue and imagine untouched depths. But here's the thing, much of what ends up in our oceans isn't just floating bottles or visible plastic bags. There's a deeper, more invisible problem that, once understood, changes how you see it. This is the ocean's hidden trash. It's not just the stuff you can easily spot. It's the tiny bits of broken down plastic, smaller than a grain of sand, like microplastics. It's old fishing nets, lost or abandoned, drifting like ghosts and trapping marine life. It's also chemical pollutants that dissolve into the water, unseen but still there, affecting everything from tiny plankton to large whales. For a long time, people believed the ocean was so immense it could simply absorb anything we threw into it, that it was a bottomless pit for waste. This idea started to change only recently, as our inventions, especially plastics, filled the world. Think about cleaning your room. You might quickly shove a pile of clothes under the bed or stuff papers into a drawer. For a moment, the room looks tidy, but the mess is still there, hidden, waiting. The ocean is like that, but on a huge scale. Our hidden waste isn't gone. It's just out of sight, still doing damage. And that's why it matters. Once you grasp this, that the beautiful, mysterious ocean holds a quiet secret of our forgotten waste, you can't unsee it. The blue isn't as pure. The depths are no longer just mystery, but a reflection of our choices. It's a quiet understanding that reminds us of the deep connection between our actions on land and the vast world of water. Knowing this makes you look at the waves differently, with new awareness and deeper care. Have you ever had a song playing over and over in your head, even when you try to think of something else? That feeling, when a melody just won't leave, is something most of us have experienced. It's often called an earworm, and it's a curious peek into how our minds work. Here's how it works. Our brains love patterns, and they really love to finish incomplete ones. When you hear a catchy tune, especially one that's simple, repetitive, or has a bit of an unexpected twist, your brain latches onto it. It's like your mind is trying to solve a puzzle or replay a favorite memory over and over again. This isn't a new idea. Philosophers and thinkers have long wondered about the power of music and how it affects our thoughts. Long before pop songs, people noticed how certain chants or rhythms could stick in the mind, echoing long after they were heard. Think about it like this. Imagine you're told part of a riddle, but not the answer. Your mind will keep circling back to that riddle, trying to complete it. A catchy song works in a similar way. It leaves a little gap that your brain wants to fill, or it's so familiar that your brain just keeps playing it on a loop, almost like a broken record. Sometimes it's not even a song you particularly like, but its structure just hooks your brain. Other times, it's a song tied to a strong feeling or memory, and your brain keeps revisiting that feeling by playing the tune. So, a song stuck in your head isn't just random noise. It shows how powerfully our minds hold on to things that resonate, even for a moment. It's a reminder that some experiences, once understood or felt, can linger, becoming a quiet part of our inner world, something we carry with us, whether we mean to or not. Have you ever felt a strong message without a single word being spoken? Maybe a look from a friend, or a quiet moment that felt full of meaning? It's a strange idea, but sometimes what we don't say can speak louder than anything that comes out of our mouths. This is the power of unsaid words. Here's how it works. Unsaid words aren't just silence. They're the thoughts and feelings that stay inside us, never spoken, but still have a huge effect. Think of the feelings in a room after someone leaves, or the unspoken rules between friends. These quiet things can show us truths we didn't notice before. It's like when you're watching a movie, and a character's silence in a tough moment tells you everything about their pain or their strength, more than any dramatic speech could. Many wise people throughout history have thought about this. They often talked about the strength in being quiet or the wisdom in choosing not to speak. They believe words can sometimes confuse things. True understanding often comes from paying attention to what isn't said. It's like how, in music, the quiet spaces between notes are just as important as the notes themselves. Those pauses give music its feeling. Think about comforting a friend who is sad. Maybe you don't say much, but you just sit with them, offering a silent hug or just being there. That quiet presence, that unsaid promise of support, often means more than many words could. Or, imagine being upset with someone, and instead of yelling, you just give a quiet, disappointed look. That look carries a huge weight, a message that's clear without a sound. What's left unsaid can build connections or create distance. It can show us truths we might otherwise miss. So, here's the thing. When words are absent, it's not always an empty space. Often, it's a place for deeper feelings, where true understanding can grow. It reminds us that talking isn't the only way to communicate. It's also about listening to the quiet echoes and noticing the messages hidden in plain sight. These unspoken truths, once understood, stay with you. Have you ever walked into an old building, maybe an ancient house or even your own school, and felt something? Not just the chill of an empty room, but a quiet hum, a sense that stories are wrapped up in the very air? It's a strange thought, but what if the walls around us, the floors beneath our feet, truly remember? This isn't about ghosts, not really. It's about something deeper. The idea that every space holds a kind of history, a quiet echo of all the lives lived within it. Imagine your own home. It feels like yours, right? But long before you moved in, other people lived there. They laughed, cried, celebrated. Their joys and worries, their everyday moments, all happened inside those very walls. Thinkers have explored this idea for a long time. They believe places aren't just empty containers. They soak up the feelings and events that happen there. They called it place memory, or the spirit of a place. Think about ancient ruins. Why do they feel so powerful? It's not just crumbling stone. It's knowing that kings walked those halls or everyday people built lives there centuries ago. The very air seems to hold those stories. Here's the thing. Even the smallest marks, like a worn spot on a wooden step or a faded drawing on a wall, tell a tiny part of that story. Maybe a child played there, wearing away the wood, or someone sketched a dream onto the plaster. When you look closely, your own home or classroom isn't just a building. It's a quiet book filled with countless unmarked pages of human experience. And once you realize this, every building becomes a whisper from the past, connecting you to generations you never knew. It makes you feel part of something much bigger, a continuous thread of life unfolding within these silent, watchful spaces. Have you ever stopped to truly think about why your feet stay firmly on the ground, or why a tossed ball always comes back down? We often don't notice it, but there's a quiet, constant force around us, holding everything together. It's gravity, an invisible connection. Simply put, gravity is the natural pull between any two things that have mass. The more mass something has, the stronger its pull. That's why Earth, being so big, pulls on us, and we don't float off into space. But we also pull on the Earth just a tiny bit. It's a two-way street, a silent dance. People wondered about this force for ages. Then, Isaac Newton helped us understand it. He realized the same force pulling an apple to the ground also kept the moon orbiting Earth. This showed the universe followed the same rules everywhere. It was like finding a thread connecting everything, from tiny objects to giant planets. Think about it this way. When you stand, you feel solid, rooted. That's gravity giving you a gentle, steady embrace. It's always there, a quiet assurance. This isn't a harsh force. It's a constant, tender whisper keeping us tethered to our home planet. Once you truly grasp this gentle pull, you start to see the world differently. You realize everything is connected by these invisible threads. Holding stars and galaxies and keeping your cup on the table, it makes the ordinary act of standing feel more profound. A quiet reminder of forces shaping our lives and the cosmos. It's a truth you can't unsee once understood. Have you ever looked up at a towering building, almost touching the clouds? It just stands there, so solid, so still. How does something so heavy, so grand, stay upright, resisting the Earth's constant pull? The secret isn't really a secret, it's about balance. Every building, from a small house to a huge skyscraper, is in a quiet conversation with gravity. Gravity tries to pull everything down, but the building's parts, its strong foundation, beams, and columns push back. They hold their ground, reaching for the sky. All the forces pushing and pulling are perfectly balanced. For thousands of years, humans have dreamt of building higher. Think of the ancient Egyptians with their carefully stacked pyramids, or the medieval builders of towering cathedrals, learning to craft elegant arches. They weren't just guessing. They observed the world, experimented, and slowly figured out how to make structures stand strong against time. This was a kind of shared wisdom, passed down through generations, about how to work with invisible forces. It's a bit like us. To stand tall and strong, you need good posture, right? Your feet are planted firmly, and your muscles work together to keep you balanced. If your core is weak, you might wobble. A building is similar. Its deep foundation is like strong roots, planted firmly in the earth. The framework inside is like its skeleton, distributing weight evenly, so no single part takes too much strain. So, when you see a building standing tall, you're not just seeing bricks and steel, you're seeing a silent testament to understanding unseen forces, to patience, and to the power of a strong foundation. It reminds us that true strength often comes from what's hidden, from balance, and from being deeply rooted. Once you understand this, you can't unsee the quiet wisdom in every structure that reaches for the sky. Have you ever walked through a quiet forest and felt like there was something more happening than just trees standing tall? It's a strange thought, but what if trees could actually talk to each other? For a long time, we thought of trees as separate, silent things, each living its own life. But here's the thing. They do communicate, in a way we're only just beginning to truly understand. This isn't about words or sounds like ours. Instead, trees speak a secret language through a vast, hidden network beneath the ground. Their roots connect with a kind of underground fungi, like a tiny, living internet that spans the whole forest. Through this wood-wide web, trees can share nutrients, water, and even send warning signals about threats, like insect attacks or diseases. It's like a silent, slow conversation happening all the time, far below our feet. Ancient cultures, especially many indigenous peoples around the world, have known for centuries that all of nature is deeply connected. They understood that the forest wasn't just a collection of individual trees, but a single, breathing community. Modern science is now catching up, thanks to researchers who discovered these amazing underground networks. They found that a mother tree might send carbon, a type of energy, to younger saplings that aren't getting enough sunlight, helping them grow strong. Imagine you and your friends are working on a group project. If one of you finds a really good piece of information, you don't keep it to yourself, right? You share it with the group so everyone can benefit. That's a bit like what trees do. If one tree is struggling, or if another is in danger, they share resources and warnings. It's a lesson in cooperation and community. Once you truly understand this, a forest transforms. It's no longer just a collection of silent, separate plants. It becomes a complex, interconnected society, alive with whispered messages and shared wisdom. This realization can make you look at every tree, every patch of woods, with a new sense of wonder and respect, knowing there's a whole secret world of communication happening right under your nose. Have you ever watched a tiny stone drop into a still pond? It seems like such a small thing, just one quiet splash. But those ripples spread, touching the whole surface long after the stone sinks. That's a lot like the small acts that echo. This idea is about how even the tiniest choices we make, the quietest words we speak, or the simple kindnesses we offer, don't just vanish. They don't end when they happen. Instead, they send out unseen waves. These waves touch other people, other moments, and even the future itself. We might not feel them right away, but they resonate. They echo. Philosophers have thought about this for centuries. They call it cause and effect. Ancient thinkers like the Stoics understood that our actions, even tiny ones, are connected to a bigger chain. They believed our choices, especially kind ones, help the world in quiet ways. It's not about huge gestures, but how we consistently choose to be. Here's an example. Imagine you see someone drop their books. It'd be easy to walk by. But what if you stop just for a moment and help them pick them up? That simple act might seem tiny, but for that person, it could totally change their day. They might feel seen, less alone, and because of that, they might be kinder to the next person. Your small act didn't just solve a problem. It sent out a ripple of kindness that could keep going. So, when we truly understand this, that every small act has an echo, it changes how we see our lives. It means our daily decisions, the ones we barely notice, hold more power than we realize. Kindness, patience, or a thoughtful gesture isn't just a fleeting moment. It's a seed planted, a quiet wave sent out. It shapes the world in ways we can only begin to imagine. It means we matter in countless subtle ways. Have you ever really stopped to wonder if time is truly what we think it is? We see clocks tick, days turn into nights, and the seasons gracefully shift. But what if time isn't just a straight line, always moving forward, always the same for everyone? What if our understanding of it has been too simple all along? Here's the thing. Many thinkers, from ancient philosophers to modern scientists, have questioned this deeply. For a long time, most people just thought time was like a giant, invisible river, flowing steadily and endlessly, the same for every single person. It was just there, a fixed background to everything, much like space itself. But then, smart people like Albert Einstein came along. He showed us that time isn't fixed at all. Instead, it can actually stretch and shrink depending on things like how fast you're moving or how strong gravity is around you. It's not just a measure, it's a living part of the universe, woven together with space into something called space-time. Think about it this way. When you're having a blast with friends, laughing and playing a favorite game, time seems to just vanish, right? An hour feels like mere minutes. But if you're stuck doing something really boring, like a chore you don't want to do, those same minutes can stretch and feel like hours. This isn't just your feeling. It hints at how our experience, and even the universe's mechanics, can make time feel, or even be, different. So, once you truly grasp that time isn't just a simple, unchanging clock ticking away, you might start to see your own moments differently. Every second isn't just passing. It's a unique piece of an experience that bends and shapes around you. This understanding makes you realize that our lives are not just moving through time, but are deeply intertwined with its mysterious and flexible flow. It's a reminder to truly appreciate each fleeting moment, knowing it's part of a much larger, more complex, and wonderfully adaptable story. You can't unsee how personal and profound time really is. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, at a tiny star, and wondered if what you're seeing is truly happening right now? Here's the thing, it's not. What reaches your eyes is often a ghost, an echo from a time long past. Light, the very stuff that allows us to see everything, travels incredibly fast, but it's not instant. It has a speed limit, a cosmic rule that nothing can break. Imagine trying to picture how fast that is. Light zips along at about 186,000 miles every single second. To give you an idea, that's fast enough to circle the entire Earth more than 7 times in the blink of an eye. For a long time, thinkers and scientists, even folks like Galileo, wondered exactly how fast light moved. It felt immediate, but they suspected it wasn't. Then, much later, a brilliant scientist named Albert Einstein showed us something truly mind-bending about it. He taught us that light speed is always the same, for everyone, everywhere. It's like the universe has a fixed speed limit for information itself. This constant, incredible speed means that everything you see, no matter how close, has a tiny delay. When you see your friend across the room, the light from them reaches your eyes a tiny fraction of a second later. You don't notice it because it happens so quickly, but the further away something is, the more that delay adds up. For example, when you look at the moon, you're actually seeing it as it was about 1.3 seconds ago. And when you gaze at the sun, you're looking at light that left its surface over 8 minutes ago. This idea that everything we see is a piece of the past changes how you think about now. The light from a faraway galaxy might have traveled for millions, even billions of years to finally reach your eyes. You aren't just looking at the universe, you're looking at its history, at moments that unfolded long ago. It makes you feel connected to deep time, to the incredible vastness of space and everything that has happened within it. It quietly shows us that now is a delicate and fleeting moment, always built from the echoes of what was making the present even more precious. Have you ever stopped to wonder if your phone has a hidden agenda? It sits so quietly in your pocket, a helpful friend, always there when you need it. But here's the thing. Your phone and the apps living inside it are always watching. Not in a spooky way necessarily, but in a way that helps them understand you deeply. This secret plan isn't really a plan cooked up by one person. It's how the technology is built. Every tap, every scroll, every search you make, it all gets collected. It's like your phone is taking notes on your habits, your interests, even your moods, and that's why it matters. Companies use these notes to create a digital picture of you. They want to know what videos you'll watch next, what products you might buy, or what news article will grab your attention. Their goal? To keep you engaged, to keep you looking at the screen. Think about the old days, a long time ago. Shopkeepers tried to remember what their best customers liked so they could offer them just the right thing. Or advertisers would put up big billboards, hoping to catch someone's eye by chance. But those were broad guesses. What's different now is the sheer amount of personal detail. It's like having a friend who knows you so well, they can predict your next thought. Except this friend is a powerful computer program, and their job is to make sure you spend more time on their platform. Once you understand this, you can't unsee it. That perfectly timed ad, that suggested video that feels like it read your mind, it's not magic. It's the result of your own data being used. Knowing this doesn't mean you have to throw your phone away, it just means you look at it differently. It invites you to be more thoughtful about your digital world, to remember that you hold the power to decide how much of yourself you give away, and how much time you dedicate to these clever systems. It's a quiet knowing that changes everything. Have you ever really stopped and just listened? Not to music you chose, or someone talking, but to all the quiet sounds happening right now, around you? What if those ordinary noises aren't just noise at all, but something more, something beautiful? Here's the thing. Once you start truly listening, you can't unhear the art hidden in everyday sounds. It's about understanding that every little whisper, hum, or clang is a tiny piece of a much larger ongoing symphony. We often tune out these sounds because they seem unimportant, just background noise. But when we pay attention, they become rich with meaning and texture. For a long time, thinkers and artists have explored how important listening is. Ancient philosophers, like the Stoics, talked about finding peace and wisdom by noticing simple things, including the sounds of nature or the city. Later, in the 20th century, a composer named John Cage completely changed how people thought about music. He showed us that any sound can be music if we decide to listen to it as such. He wasn't saying all noise is pretty, but that our attention can make ordinary sounds part of something artistic. It's not about changing the sound, but changing how we hear it. Think about the soft, steady rhythm of rain falling on a window pane. It's not a song with words, but it has a beat, a mood, a story, or the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen, a constant, low note that is always there. These aren't just random happenings. They're part of the unique soundscape of your life right now. When you begin to really hear these sounds, you notice how they blend and interact. It's like discovering a whole new layer to the world. And that's why it matters. This simple act of listening turns the everyday into something special, showing you that beauty and rhythm are everywhere, just waiting for you to notice them. Have you ever really thought about why we humans love stories so much? From ancient myths to your favorite movies today, we're just drawn to them. It's like we can't help but tell them, listen to them, or watch them unfold. But why? What is it about a good story that grabs us and doesn't let go? Here's the thing. Stories are more than just entertainment. They are how we make sense of the world around us. They help us understand ourselves, others, and even big ideas that might seem confusing. Think about it. Before there were books or even writing, people sat around campfires. They told tales about brave hunters, wise elders, or how the stars got into the sky. These stories weren't just for fun. They taught lessons, passed down history, and showed people how to live. Every culture, everywhere in the world, has its own special stories, going back thousands of years. This shows how deeply rooted storytelling is and what it means to be human. A story can be like a special lens that helps you see things in a new way. It's like when you're trying to understand a complicated math problem, and someone explains it using an example that just clicks. Or when you read a book about someone facing a huge challenge, and suddenly you feel less alone in your own struggles. Stories do that. They give us a way to connect with feelings and experiences that might not even be our own. They help us practice empathy, which is understanding what others are going through. So when you hear a story, or read one, or even tell your own, remember this: you're taking part in something ancient and powerful. Stories help us see things we didn't notice before. They help us understand the hidden truths of life. They become those things you just can't unsee once you've understood them, forever changing how you view the world and your place in it. Have you ever stopped to think how much of your life is shaped by things that happened long before you were born? It's a strange thought. We often feel like we're just living in the now. But here's the thing. Many of the paths we walk, the words we use, even our towns, are faint whispers from choices made by people we'll never meet. This is what the echoes of ancient choices means. It's the idea that decisions made centuries ago still send ripples through time, reaching us. Imagine dropping a stone into a pond. The splash is gone, but ripples keep spreading. Those ripples are the echoes. Ancient thinkers, like the Stoics, understood this. They knew every action has consequences for all generations. They taught our present isn't a blank slate. It's built on layers of the past. Take the English language. It carries traces of Old English, Latin, French, from people who spoke centuries ago. Their choices became our foundation. Consider a forest path. Someone long ago walked a certain way, others followed. That tiny trail became a clear path, then a road. We still use that route because of their initial choice. Our roads, laws, customs, they all started somewhere, rooted in choices from the distant past. So, looking around, we see humanity's long, beautiful story, not just the present. Every brick, every word, every idea holds a piece of yesterday. Understanding this connects us to time. It reminds us that our own choices today will also become echoes for those who come after us. It makes you think about the legacy we're building. Have you ever really thought about how different the world might look to a tiny fly or a busy bee? Imagine seeing everything not as one clear, smooth picture, but as thousands of tiny, flashing fragments. That's actually how many insects experience their world. It's called compound vision. Instead of having one single lens like our eyes, an insect's eye has hundreds, even thousands, of tiny individual lenses. Each one is called an ommatidium. Think of it like a honeycomb, where each cell is its own little camera. So, an insect doesn't see a flower as one complete bloom. Instead, it sees hundreds of small, overlapping pieces, all stitched together in its brain. For a long time, people just assumed everything saw the world, sort of like we do. But then, science helped us understand this amazing difference. Philosophers, way back in ancient Greece, wondered about how our senses shape what we believe is real. They didn't know about insect eyes, but they did ask, is what I see the only true way to see? This idea that there are many ways to perceive reality is a deeply human question. Here's an analogy. Imagine looking through a kaleidoscope. Every little piece of colored glass forms part of the bigger pattern. Or think about a mosaic made of countless small tiles. Each tile is just a tiny piece, but together they form a grand picture. An insect's view is a bit like that. A constantly moving, flickering mosaic of light and shadow, motion and color. This simple fact, once you really understand it, changes how you think about our own vision. It makes you wonder what other hidden worlds exist right beside us, simply because different eyes are built in different ways. It's a humble reminder that our way of seeing is just one way, and the universe holds countless others. Have you ever stopped to think about how quickly we decide things? Not just about books, but about people, places, even new ideas. We take a quick glance, we put a label on it, and sometimes that's where our understanding stops. It's like seeing a cover and instantly deciding if the story inside is worth opening. But what if the most amazing stories are hidden behind the plainest covers? For centuries, across different cultures, people have grappled with this human habit. There's that old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. And it's not just about actual books. It's about not making up your mind too fast based only on how something appears on the outside. Ancient philosophers, thinkers from long ago, explored how our first impressions can mislead us. They believed true wisdom, a quiet understanding, came from looking past the surface. It meant digging deeper, patiently seeking what's real and true underneath. This knowing asks us to slow down. Think about someone at school you might have quickly judged. Maybe they seemed quiet or their clothes were different. You might have thought, oh, they're probably not interesting. But then you get to really know them. You learn they're an incredible artist, or they've traveled to amazing places, or they have the kindest heart. Suddenly, the cover you saw vanishes entirely. What you understood about them completely changes. You can't unsee the real person, the one beyond your first quick thought. The truth emerges. Here's the thing. Once you truly understand this powerful idea that our initial judgments are often just shadows, not the full light of truth, you start to see the world with new eyes. You learn to pause. You learn to gently question your own quick thoughts. And in that pause, in that deeper, more curious look, you find so much more beauty, more quiet wisdom, and more genuine connection than you ever thought possible. It's a gentle shift, but it opens up a whole new way of seeing everything around you, making life richer. Have you ever really thought about the word forever? It sounds like a really long time, doesn't it? Something that just keeps going without end. We use it all the time. This homework is taking forever, or I'll love you forever. But here's the thing. Does forever truly mean endless time, stretching out into the universe? Or could it mean something different? For a long time, people have wondered about forever. Ancient thinkers, like those in Greece, often thought of time as a big, never-ending river. It just keeps flowing. But over time, our understanding has changed. Maybe forever isn't just about a timeline that never ends. Maybe it's about something that leaves a mark so deep, it feels like it will never fade, even if the moment itself is gone. Think about a powerful memory. Maybe it's the pure joy of solving a tough puzzle, or the warmth of a hug from someone you love. That moment lasted only seconds or minutes, but the feeling of it, the impact it had, can stay with you for years. It shapes who you are. It feels like it lives inside you, almost forever. And that's because its meaning isn't tied to the clock. It's tied to how it changed you, how it touched your heart or mind. So maybe forever isn't about how long something physically lasts. It's about how long its influence or meaning lasts. It's about moments that might be brief, but their echoes continue on, touching us again and again. It's about a deep understanding or feeling that once you have it, you can't unfeel it, you can't unknow it. And in that way, some things truly do become a part of us, lasting in a way that feels like forever, even when everything else changes. Have you ever really looked at a sky full of clouds and suddenly seen shades of purple or pink you swear weren't there before? Or maybe a dark green leaf that up close has tiny flecks of bright yellow? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? It's like your eyes were open, but your brain just wasn't picking up all the signals. And then, once you see that subtle hint of color, you can't unsee it. It's always there. Now, here's the thing. This isn't just about literal colors. It's about how much of the world we simply don't notice until we're given a new way to look. For a long time, philosophers have talked about this idea. They wondered if we only see a small part of what's truly real, like we're watching shadows on a cave wall instead of the real things outside. Our brains are amazing, but they also filter out a lot of information. They decide what's important enough for us to see. Think about it like this. A dog sees the world mostly in shades of yellow and blue. Red looks kind of dull and brown to them. So, a bright red fire hydrant, which is super clear to us, might just blend in for a dog. Once you understand that, you can't help but imagine how different their world must seem. And that's why it matters. Just like knowing about a dog's vision changes how you see a red ball, learning new things about the world changes your own perception. Once someone points out a small detail in a painting, or a hidden meaning in a song, or even a quiet way someone shows kindness, your mind expands. It makes you wonder how much more there is to discover, just hiding in plain sight. And once you start seeing these deeper shades, these hidden truths, the world around you becomes so much richer and more full of wonder. Have you ever noticed how loud the world is? From the moment we wake up, there's a constant hum. Cars outside, notifications buzzing, people talking, music playing. It's like a never-ending symphony of sound. But what happens when all that noise fades away, even for just a moment? What then? What is the real purpose of silence? Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's more like a space, a deep, quiet room inside and around us. Think about it. When it's truly silent, you start to hear things you usually miss. Maybe the soft hum of your own breath, or even your own heartbeat. For centuries, thinkers and spiritual leaders have understood this. Ancient philosophers like the Stoics believed that quiet time was essential for clear thinking and understanding yourself. Many traditions, from Buddhist meditation to contemplative prayer, have always used silence as a path to deeper wisdom and peace. They knew that in the quiet, you could connect with something bigger or simply understand your own thoughts better. It's like when you're trying to read an important book. If the television is blaring and people are shouting, it's hard to focus, right? You miss key ideas. But if you find a quiet corner, suddenly the words make more sense. You can really get into the story. Silence does that for our minds. It lets our thoughts settle. It gives our busy brains a chance to catch up, to process everything. Psychologists even say that our brains need moments of quiet to sort memories and calm our nervous system. So, silence is not empty. It's actually full of potential. It's where we can truly listen not just to sounds, but to our own inner voice, to the quiet wisdom that's always there, waiting. It's a place for reflection, for healing, and for finding a sense of calm amidst the rush of life. And that's why it matters. Have you ever just felt a smile? Not just seen it, but felt its presence, like a small, warm current passing through you? It's amazing, isn't it? How something so simple, just the curving of lips and crinkling of eye skin, holds so much quiet strength. Here's the thing. A smile isn't just a happy face. It's a silent, universal language. Think about it. No matter where someone is from, a true smile is understood by everyone. It's a signal of friendliness, a welcome, a tiny burst of sunshine. Thinkers have noted this power for a long time. Charles Darwin, for example, observed that smiles are one of the few expressions that seem to be the same across all cultures. It's like they're built into us, part of what makes us human. Our ancient ancestors likely used smiles to build trust, showing they were friendly long before common words. Its power shows in your own life. Imagine you're having a tough day, feeling a bit invisible. Then, a classmate or teacher offers a quick, genuine smile. For that brief second, something shifts inside you. It's like a tiny spark, a silent message that says, I see you, you're okay. That one small gesture can lift a heavy mood, even for a moment. A real smile can release feel-good chemicals in your brain, for you and for the person seeing it. And that's why it matters. A smile is a quiet choice. It doesn't cost anything, but its reach can be incredibly wide. It's a small, gentle act of kindness that builds tiny bridges between people, even strangers. It reminds us of our shared humanity, showing that even in a big, confusing world, a simple curve of the lips can be a powerful promise of connection. It's a beautiful thing you can carry, always ready to share. Have you ever stopped to really think about games? Not just whether you win or lose, but what they actually are. It might seem simple, but games hold a deep kind of logic, a hidden set of rules that mirror life itself. Here's the thing. Every game, from tic-tac-toe to a complex video game, has a structure. It has a goal, players, and a clear set of rules. But underneath those surface rules, there's a whole universe of unspoken truths about choices, consequences, and how things connect. For thousands of years, people have played games. Think about ancient board games like chess, which originated centuries ago. These weren't just for fun. They were often used to teach strategy, to practice thinking ahead, or even to understand how power and conflict work without actually going to war. They help people learn how to react when things changed, how to manage what they had, and how to outsmart an opponent fairly. Games are like tiny, safe worlds where we can experiment with different ways of being. Consider a game like Monopoly. You might just think it's about rolling dice and buying properties, but really it's a whole lesson in managing money, taking risks, and dealing with unexpected events. If you spend all your cash too soon, you might go bankrupt. If you save carefully and buy smart properties, you might win big. And that's why it matters. The choices you make in the game directly shape what happens next. The game doesn't judge you, it just shows you the result of your actions. So, when we play games, we're not just having fun, we're actually practicing how to navigate the world. We learn about patterns, about cause and effect, and about the weight of our own decisions. We start to see that fairness, patience, and adapting to change are important, whether we're playing a board game or living our lives. And once you understand that quiet, powerful logic hidden inside every game, you start to see it everywhere, a fundamental truth you can't unsee. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt really, really small? Like a tiny speck in a huge, dark ocean? Here's the thing. That feeling gets even bigger once you truly understand the scale of our galaxy, the Milky Way. It's not just scattered stars. It's a massive, swirling island in space, holding billions of stars, along with huge clouds of gas and dust, all pulled together by gravity. Our own Sunday and our entire solar system with Earth is just one tiny speck within this giant cosmic swirl. For a long time, people thought our solar system was the whole universe. But then, astronomers like William Herschel in the 1700s started mapping stars, realizing we were part of a much bigger structure. Later in the 1920s, Edwin Hubble helped us understand those faint, cloudy patches weren't gas inside our galaxy, but entirely separate galaxies, each with billions of stars too. This changed everything. It humbled us, showing our Milky Way is just one of countless islands in an unbelievably vast ocean of space. It's powerful to realize how much our understanding has grown. To truly grasp this scale, imagine our entire solar system, our Sunday and all its planets, including Earth, as just one grain of sand on a beach. If that single grain of sand is our solar system, then our entire galaxy, the Milky Way, would be like a vast desert stretching across a whole continent. It takes light, the fastest thing we know, about 100,000 years to travel from one side of our galaxy to the other. That's how incredibly huge it is. So, what does this truly mean for us? Our existence, right here on this small planet, orbiting an average star in just one arm of this immense galaxy, is truly remarkable. It makes you feel a profound sense of wonder and a quiet kind of peace. It's a deep, soft thought, reminding us of the grand, beautiful mystery we are all a part of. And that's a pretty amazing thing to carry with you, always. Have you ever stopped to really watch a raindrop as it falls onto a pavement? Or seen a tiny stream trickling over rocks? It seems like it knows exactly where it's going, doesn't it? It always finds a path, no matter the obstacles. This isn't just about water. It's a deep lesson in how things, and even people, find their way. Here's the thing about water. It always seeks the lowest point. It pulls itself downward, drawn by gravity. If it hits a stone, it goes around. If it finds a crack, it flows into it. Water doesn't argue or try to push uphill. It just adapts, gently, persistently. It finds the path of least resistance, and in doing so, it eventually carves out vast canyons and fills mighty oceans. Ancient thinkers like the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu wrote about this very idea. He suggested that people should be like water. He wasn't talking about being wet, of course. He meant being adaptable, humble, and persistent. Water doesn't force its way. It just moves and finds a way. And over time, this quiet persistence can wear down mountains. This might work for you in your own life. When you face something tough, instead of fighting it head on, sometimes the best way is to be like water. Look for a different path, a softer way around. Think about a time you tried to solve a really hard puzzle or a math problem. Maybe you felt stuck, but then you tried a different approach. You looked at it from another angle, and suddenly, the answer began to appear. That's like water finding its way. It doesn't give up, it just tries another route. So, when you see a puddle after the rain, remember that the water didn't just appear there by magic. It traveled, bending and weaving, finding its unique path. And that's why it matters. Understanding how water flows can help us understand our own journeys, showing us that even the gentlest persistence can lead us exactly where we need to be. Have you ever felt like there are secrets hidden right in front of you, not shouted, but softly whispered? Sometimes, the most important things in life aren't big, loud events. They are quiet little nudges, like a gentle breeze. Once you truly pay attention, once you understand what those whispers mean, you can't ever unsee them. Here's the thing. The whisper of the wind is a way to talk about subtle signs and quiet truths always around us. They're like background noise until suddenly they click into place. It's about learning to notice what's beneath the surface, unspoken feelings, tiny details that tell a much bigger story. Ancient thinkers and poets from different cultures talked about this awareness for ages. Old Greek philosophers, for instance, spoke of a deeper kind of knowing that comes from truly observing the world. Many Eastern philosophies call this mindfulness, being fully present to catch fleeting moments and tiny signals. It's not magic, but about truly waking up to your surroundings. Think about talking to a friend. They say they're fine, but you notice a slight droop in their shoulders, a quiet sigh, or how they keep looking down. Each is small. But once you realize these signs together mean they're sad, suddenly you can't unsee them. You understand their real feelings beyond their words. So, the whisper of the wind shows us life is full of these quiet invitations. When we open our minds to truly listen, the world reveals deeper meanings. It's about a richer way of seeing, where the unseen becomes clear and quiet truths echo loudly within us. And that's why it matters. Have you ever held on to something so tightly, a piece of information only you knew, something you couldn't tell anyone, not yet, or maybe not ever? It's like carrying an invisible stone in your pocket. A secret isn't just something you don't say. It's a part of reality you choose to hide. And once you understand that act of hiding, you can't unsee how it shapes everything around you. This is the weight of a secret, the quiet burden it places on your mind and heart, and sometimes on the connections you have with others. For a long time, thinkers have talked about how secrets affect us. Ancient Greek philosophers like Aristotle believed that real friendship needed openness, hinting that secrets could build walls between people. In many old stories, secrets are powerful. They can protect or destroy simply by being kept hidden. It's not just the knowledge itself, but the act of holding it back that changes things. That hidden piece shifts how you act, how you think, and how you feel. Think about a time you tried to surprise a friend with a gift or a party. You knew the secret, and maybe you felt a little excited, a little nervous, wanting to spill it. That tiny bit of hidden knowledge made you act differently around them. You might have tried to steer conversations away from the topic. Even a good secret, like a surprise, carries a slight tension until it's finally shared. Now, imagine if that secret was something difficult, something that could hurt someone. The tension grows much heavier. Once you see how a secret isn't just not speaking, but an active force shaping your thoughts and actions, you begin to notice its invisible presence all over. It leaves a mark, a soft ripple in the way you interact, a shadow over your own peace. And once you understand that quiet, steady pressure, you realize how deeply it changes the way we connect or don't connect with others. The unshared word, the untold truth, silently becomes a part of who we are and how we live. Have you ever stopped, truly stopped, and just watched the clouds drift by? They never look quite the same, do they? Sometimes soft, cottony puffs, other times long, wispy brushstrokes or heavy gray blankets. But why this endless variety? Why do they always change their shape and color? Here's the simple truth. Clouds are vast gatherings of tiny water droplets or ice crystals. Their apparent shifts based on two main things. First, the amount of water or ice they hold. Thin clouds let sunlight through, appearing bright white. Thicker, denser clouds block light, often looking gray or dark. Second, their height matters. High clouds, made of ice, look feathery and delicate. Lower clouds, mostly water, appear more billowy and full. For thousands of years, people gazed at the sky, trying to understand these floating mysteries. Ancient Greek thinkers like Aristotle observed them, noting patterns. But long before science, culture saw clouds as more than vapor. They imagined divine chariots or signs of fate, finding meaning in something vast. It was about seeing beauty in the ordinary. Think about a tree outside your window. It looks different depending on the hour, right? In morning light, its leaves might sparkle. At dusk, it becomes a dark outline against a fiery sky. The tree hasn't changed, but how light falls on it makes it appear totally different. Clouds are exactly like that, always just water and air. But light, density, and our perspective reshape their story. When you truly grasp this, you can't unsee it. Clouds are no longer random forms. They become living canvases of light and atmosphere, constantly repainted by sun and wind. They remind us that even common things, once truly observed, reveal unexpected beauty. This teaches us to look closer, to find magic everywhere, and to see how everything is connected. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt something, perhaps a heavy quiet after an argument, or a buzzing excitement before a party? That's a whisper of energy. a hint of something deeper we often sense. Everything around us, and even inside us, is made of energy. It's not just electricity for your phone or fuel for a car. It's the silent hum of life itself, the invisible force that makes things move, grow, and change. It holds everything together and flows through all things. Long ago, wise people in ancient China and India understood this. They spoke of a life force, chi or prana, that flowed through all things, connecting everything alive. This ancient wisdom suggested our well-being depended on this energy moving freely. Later, modern science, through Albert Einstein's famous E.C. Squared, showed that solid matter and energy are just different forms of the same thing. What you see as a sturdy desk is, at its core, a dance of tiny particles vibrating with unseen energy. Think about when you listen to a powerful song. It can make you feel joyful, sad, or inspired, right? The music itself is just sound waves. But the way it moves through you, changing your mood, that's energy in action. Or imagine the warmth from a close friend's smile. It's not physical heat, but an emotional warmth, an energetic connection. These are everyday examples of energy flowing, touching us, and subtly changing things around us. Once you truly grasp this, you can't unsee it. The world isn't just separate, solid objects. It's a vast, flowing ocean of energy. You, me, the trees, the wind, we are all waves in that same immense ocean. Knowing this makes you see how connected we truly are, not just to each other, but to every single thing. It's a quiet, powerful truth that changes how you feel about simply existing, reminding us we are part of something much bigger, always in motion. Have you ever really looked at a single drop of rain, just one tiny, shimmering sphere falling from the sky? It seems so small, so unimportant on its own. But here's the thing, that one drop holds an entire story, a whole universe of connections. Once you understand this, it's hard to see anything as truly small again. This idea that something tiny can hold so much meaning has been pondered for ages. Ancient Greek thinkers, for example, talked about how the world was made of unseen parts and how everything was connected, like an invisible chain. It's like how a single brick is just one brick, but is also part of an entire building, essential to its strength. Its journey might seem tiny, but its role isn't. Consider a single choice you make today. Maybe it's deciding to help a friend with their homework, or picking up a piece of trash. That one choice seems tiny, a single drop in the ocean of your day. But that action can create a ripple. Your friend might feel less stressed, maybe even pass their test. The trash you picked up means one less bit of plastic hurting an animal. Just like that single drop of rain joins millions of others to form a river, eventually reaching the vast ocean. Your small actions create bigger outcomes. So when we think about that single drop, we begin to see that nothing truly exists alone. Everything is connected. Every tiny part contributes to the whole, and its journey, no matter how brief, plays its part. Understanding this changes how we look at the world. It makes us realize that even the quietest whispers or the smallest gestures carry a hidden power. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? That every little thing has a purpose and a connection to everything else. Have you ever looked at something strong and wondered what really holds it up? Think about a massive oak tree standing tall for hundreds of years. We see its branches, its leaves, its mighty trunk. But here's the thing. The real power, the true anchor, is hidden deep below the ground. It's the roots. They spread out, silent and unseen, gripping the earth, bringing in what the tree needs to live and grow. This isn't just about trees, though. The quiet strength of roots is a big idea about anything unseen that provides support, stability, and nourishment. It's about the hidden foundation, the deep connections, the things that aren't flashy or obvious but are absolutely essential. It's the patient, silent work that makes everything else possible. People have thought about this for a long time. Ancient cultures, for example, often talked about invisible forces or deep principles that shaped their world. They understood that true strength wasn't always loud or visible. It was like how a family's history and shared values, often passed down quietly through generations, create a strong foundation for everyone in it. Or how the invisible threads of a community, like shared kindness and quiet help, hold people together even when times are tough. Think about learning a new skill, like playing an instrument or becoming good at a sport. What you see is the performance, the goal scored, or the beautiful music played. But the real strength comes from the hidden, everyday practice, the hours spent alone, the mistakes made and corrected, the quiet discipline. Those moments are like the roots. They don't look exciting, but they build everything else. Understanding the quiet strength of roots helps us see things differently. It teaches us to value what isn't immediately obvious, to respect the slow, steady work that happens beneath the surface. It's a gentle reminder that true power often comes from deep, hidden places, and that supporting yourself and others often starts with the quiet things no one ever sees. Have you ever thought about how a memory isn't just a perfect picture stored away in your mind? It's not like hitting save on a computer, where the file stays exactly the same forever. Instead, a memory is something living, something that shifts and breathes with us over time. It's one of those things you can't unsee once you truly understand it. Here's the thing. Every time we remember something, our brain doesn't just pull up an old file. It actually rebuilds that memory. Imagine it like a storyteller. Each time the storyteller tells the same tale, they might emphasize different parts, add a new detail they just thought of, or even leave out something that doesn't feel important anymore. This isn't because we're trying to fool anyone, it's just how our minds work. For a long time, some thinkers, like the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, thought memory was like stamping a seal into wax, a perfect impression. But even wax can smudge, right? And modern science shows us something even more fluid. When you remember your best friend's birthday party from last year, your brain isn't playing a video. It's gathering bits and pieces, feelings, sounds, sights, and putting them together again in that moment. And each time, that reassembly can be a little different. Think about a funny story your family tells about you when you were little. Maybe it's about a silly thing you said or did. The first time you heard it, it was just a story. But as years pass and the story gets retold, maybe you start to remember it happening exactly that way, even if your first memory was fuzzy. The details become clearer, more solid, not because they were always perfectly there, but because your mind has shaped them, little by little, into a better, more complete narrative. So, our memories are not fixed anchors to the past. They are more like flowing rivers, always moving, always changing their banks just a little. And this means our past is not a finished book. It's an ongoing story, constantly being edited by who we are right now. Understanding this lets us see ourselves and our personal histories in a much deeper, more truthful way. It reminds us that memory is less about perfect recall and more about the incredible ongoing act of making sense of our own journey. Have you ever really looked at a handful of dirt? Not just seen it as something messy or common, but truly looked? We often just call it dirt, something to be cleaned off our shoes, something that makes our hands grubby. But what if this humble stuff, this overlooked earth beneath our feet, is one of the most incredible, foundational things we can't unsee once we understand it? Here's the thing. Dirt is actually soil. And soil is not just dead earth. It's a living, breathing world. It's a complex mix of tiny rocks, water, air, and billions of living things too small to see. Think about it. That dark, crumbly stuff is where everything begins. Every tree, every flower, every vegetable and fruit we eat, it all starts right there, rooted in the soil. Without it, there would be no plants, no food, and no us. Ancient civilizations, people who lived thousands of years ago, knew this deep truth. They didn't have science labs, but they saw the cycles. The Egyptians, for example, built their whole society around the Nile River, which brought rich, dark soil to their farmlands every year. They understood that the fertile earth wasn't just ground, it was life itself. Philosophers have also pondered how everything returns to the earth, showing its role as both the beginning and the end of physical life. It's a quiet, patient, constant. So, next time you see a small sprout pushing up through the ground, or you bite into a crisp apple, remember the dirt, remember the soil. It's not just a backdrop to life, it is life's silent partner, holding countless stories and nurturing all that grows. It teaches us that even the most ordinary things can hold immense, unseen value. It's a quiet reminder of how connected we all are, from the biggest tree to the smallest grain of sand. Have you ever stopped, really stopped, and listened to the quietest sound inside you? It's not just the steady thump-thump of your physical heart, though that's part of it. It's a deeper, more subtle beat, the rhythm of your own unique self. This is something you can't unsee or unhear once you truly understand it. Here's the thing, everyone has an inner pace, a natural flow to who they are and how they experience the world. It's like a personal soundtrack playing just for you. This rhythm is your intuition, your deepest values, and the quiet knowing of what feels right or wrong for you. It's the feeling you get when you're doing something that makes you truly happy, or when something just doesn't sit well in your gut. For a long time, thinkers from different cultures have talked about this inner guide. Ancient Greek philosophers, for example, famously urged people to know thyself. They weren't just talking about knowing your name or your favorite color. They meant understanding your true nature, your strengths, your weaknesses, and what makes your spirit sing. It's about tuning in to that inner wisdom, which is always present, always guiding. Think about it this way. Imagine you're choosing an elective at school or deciding what to do over the weekend. Maybe your friends are all excited about one thing, but inside, you feel a gentle pull towards something else entirely, a different class, a quiet hobby, or even just spending time alone. That quiet pull, that's your own rhythm speaking up. It's telling you what truly fits you, not what fits everyone else. Once you start listening to this inner beat, you find a kind of peace. It helps you make choices that are truly yours, leading you down a path that feels authentic. And that's why it matters so much. This rhythm is a compass, always there, always pointing you towards who you are meant to be. And once you hear it, really hear it, you realize it's been there all along, a constant, loving presence, guiding you home. Have you ever looked at something that just seems like pure chaos, like a pile of fallen leaves, or the way rain splatters on a window, or even the messy scribbles a little kid makes? It looks random, right? But here's the thing. Sometimes what looks completely random actually has a secret pattern hidden inside it. Once you spot it, you can't unsee it. This idea, finding order in what seems like disorder, isn't new. For a long time, people have wondered if the universe is just a jumble of accidents, or if there's some deep logic holding it all together. Ancient thinkers, like the Greek philosophers, spent their lives trying to find nature's rules. They observed stars, seasons, and how plants grow, always looking for a rhythm, a hidden design. Later, scientists saw how math could describe things that seemed random, like a falling feather or a river carving its path. It wasn't just magic, it was math. Think about a sunflower. At first, it's just a bunch of seeds packed together. But if you really look close, you'll see those seeds aren't just thrown in there. They form swirling spirals, one going clockwise and another counterclockwise. These spirals follow a special number pattern called the Fibonacci sequence, which shows up all over nature in pine cones, seashells, and how branches grow. It's a pattern so clever, so perfect, that it makes you wonder if random is ever truly random. Seeing these patterns changes how you look at everything. It's like the world starts to whisper its secrets. You begin to understand that even when things feel messy or confusing in your own life, there might be a deeper current, a quiet rhythm you just haven't noticed yet. Recognizing these hidden patterns can bring a sense of wonder and calm, reminding us that even in life's wildest moments, there might be an unexpected beauty waiting to be seen. Have you ever paused to think about why we, as humans, are always reaching for more? Even after understanding so much, after countless discoveries, we still feel this pull to explore. This pull is curiosity, pure and simple. It's that deep, quiet urge to know what's around the next corner, to understand how things truly work or what lies beneath the surface of what we already see. From the earliest humans looking up at the stars, wondering what they were, to ancient philosophers in Greece asking big questions about life in the universe, this urge has always been part of us. Think about explorers who sailed into unknown oceans, or scientists who spent their lives trying to cure diseases. They weren't just looking for answers, they were driven by a powerful need to understand, to push the boundaries of what was known. It's like when you're looking at a puzzle, you place one piece and then another, and suddenly you see a whole new part of the picture. But then you realize there's an entire section missing, and you just have to find those pieces. Or maybe you learn something incredible in science class, say how a tiny seed grows into a giant tree, and suddenly you can't walk past a plant without seeing it differently, and you want to know even more about it. This constant reaching, this quiet what if, is what makes us truly human. It's not just about finding answers, it's about the journey of discovery itself. And here's the thing, Every new piece of understanding we gain, every truth we unsee and then see anew, doesn't just fill a blank spot. It often creates new questions, new pathways for our minds to wander down. And that's why we keep exploring. It's a gentle, endless push forward, an ongoing conversation between what we know and what we still yearn to understand. Always seeking, always growing. Have you ever really looked at the ground beneath your feet? Not just seen it as dirt, but truly wondered what secrets it holds. For most of history, people just saw soil as, well, soil. Or maybe you've learned to read someone's body language. A slight shrug, a quick smile, and it tells a whole story without a word. The bees' dance is even more detailed, a natural GPS built into their tiny bodies. Once you know about the waggle dance, you can't unsee it. Every bee isn't just flying aimlessly. It's part of a grand conversation, a tiny messenger carrying vital information through movement and rhythm. It reminds us that deep understanding reveals hidden beauty. Knowledge is all around, sometimes hidden in plain sight. It asks us to look closer, to listen more carefully. When we do, the world opens up, revealing layers of wonder. Have you ever wondered about the quiet hum of your own thoughts? Or the sudden rush of a feeling that no one else can see? Inside each of us, there's a vast, hidden space. It's not a physical place you can visit with a map. Instead, it's where all your unique memories live, your dreams take flight, and your truest feelings make their home. This is your unseen world. It shapes who you are, what you care about, and how you react to everything around you, even if you don't always notice it working. Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates encouraged people to know thyself. They believed understanding your own inner world was the most important journey you could take. Today, scientists who study the mind also explore this hidden landscape. They talk about consciousness, which is just our awareness, and the subconscious, which refers to thoughts and feelings working beneath the surface of our everyday attention. It's all about the rich activity happening in your mind, much of it out of sight. Think of your mind like a vast, quiet ocean. On the surface, you see waves and sunlight. But underneath, there are deep currents, hidden caves, and incredible creatures, your thoughts, emotions, and memories moving around. Maybe you hear a song and suddenly feel a strange sense of longing, even if you don't know why. That's your inner ocean stirring, connecting the music to something deep inside you. Once you start to truly pay attention to this inner world, why you feel certain ways, what truly makes your spirit light up, or what causes you quiet concern, you can't unnotice it. You begin to understand yourself on a much deeper level. This journey inward is a powerful one. It changes how you see yourself, and it makes the world outside feel richer because you now understand the rich, complex world that exists within you. It's a quiet, profound understanding that stays with you, always. Have you ever really thought about your breath? Not just the air moving in and out, but the quiet, constant story it tells? It's something we do every single moment, awake or asleep, without even trying. This quiet act is a powerful secret, a hidden rhythm shaping your entire being. Your breath is like a gentle, constant song inside you, a melody that began at birth and keeps you here every second. For thousands of years, cultures like ancient India and Greece saw breath as more than just air. They called it prana or pneuma, meaning life force or spirit. They believed this invisible current connected us to everything, the trees, the wind, the entire living world. So, when you breathe, you're not just taking in air. You're taking in a piece of that universal energy, a shared thread that ties all life together. And with every exhale, you release what you don't need, simply letting go. Think about feeling nervous, like before a big test. Your breath probably gets fast and shallow, almost like a fluttering bird. But if you then take a few slow, deep breaths, don't you feel a little calmer, more grounded? That's your breath working its quiet magic. It's like a hidden pathway to your inner self, a gentle hand guiding you back to calm, always there to help you find your steady place. So, the next time you feel a breath move through you, the gentle rise of your chest, the soft release pause. It's a reminder that you are alive, deeply connected to the world, and part of something truly vast. This silent, steady beat has been with you since your very first cry, and it will remain a faithful companion until your last. Once you grasp this quiet, powerful truth, you can't unsee how amazing and deeply meaningful each breath truly is. Have you ever stopped to wonder how a tiny ripple in a pond can eventually reach the shore? Or how a single raindrop becomes part of a rushing river? It's easy to look at the world as a collection of separate, big things. But what if the deepest truths are found in how the smallest, quietest things are all linked? Here's the thing. Once you truly understand how connected everything is, you can't unsee it. We're talking about the idea that even the most seemingly unimportant actions or events are part of a giant, intricate web. Imagine life not as a string of separate moments, but as a vast tapestry, where every single thread, no matter how small, is woven into the whole picture. Pull one thread, and the entire design shifts, sometimes in ways you can barely notice at first. Ancient thinkers, people who pondered life thousands of years ago, understood this. They saw the world as a living system, where nothing truly happens in isolation. They knew that a small change here could lead to a huge impact somewhere else. Think about a line of dominoes. You tip just one, and a whole chain reaction begins, falling one after another until the very last one tumbles. That first push, seemingly tiny, leads to a much bigger outcome. It's like the air we breathe. A single breath is just one small act, right? But that breath connects us to the trees that made the oxygen, to the vast atmosphere, and to every other living thing breathing around us. That one small breath is part of a universal cycle. When you start to see these connections, you realize that your own small actions, your choices, your kindnesses, or even your quiet thoughts are never really just your own. They send out tiny, invisible signals into the world. So here's what I found. Understanding this changes how you see yourself too. It shows you that every little part of your day, every seemingly small decision actually matters. It makes you feel more connected, more responsible, and perhaps a little more in awe of the quiet, continuous dance that shapes everything around us. The world isn't a collection of separate pieces. It's a symphony where every note, no matter how faint, plays a crucial part. Have you ever truly stopped to consider a shadow? We often see them as just a lack of light, a dark patch where something stands in the way. But what if a shadow isn't just about what's missing, but about what it reveals? A shadow, at its simplest, is the absence of direct light because an object blocks it. But here's the thing. Without that object, without something solid to stand against the light, there would be no shadow at all. So, a shadow actually confirms the presence of something real. It gives shape and definition to whatever casts it. It tells us about the object's form, its outline, its very existence. Throughout history, thinkers have looked at shadows with deep curiosity. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, for example, used the idea of shadows in his famous allegory of the cave. He imagined people living chained in a cave, only ever seeing the shadows of objects cast by a fire behind them. To these prisoners, the shadows were their entire reality. But those shadows were just reflections of the true forms outside the cave. Plato used this to make us think about how what we perceive as real might just be an incomplete picture, a shadow of a deeper truth we haven't yet seen. So, a shadow isn't just a dark outline on the ground. It's also the proof that light exists and that something is there to block it. Think about your own life. Sometimes we go through difficult times, moments that feel dark, like a shadow. But often, it's during those challenges that we truly learn about ourselves, about what we value, and about the strength we possess. Just like how an artist uses shadows to give depth and reality to a flat drawing, making a simple circle look like a round, solid sphere. And maybe we all have our own inner shadows, two parts of ourselves we don't always want to face, feelings we push away. But acknowledging these shadows can actually make us more whole, more complete. They are part of our full picture. They help define our light. So the purpose of a shadow is to show us what's truly there, to make us appreciate the light, and to help us understand the full shape of existence, including our own. And that's why it matters. Have you ever considered how a single raindrop falling onto a distant leaf might eventually shape the entire forest? It's a quiet thought, but it opens a door to understanding something truly profound, the delicate balance of ecosystems. Here's the thing. An ecosystem is like a giant, invisible web where everything is connected. Every plant, every animal, every tiny microbe, even the air and water plays a part. If you pull on one strand, the whole web shivers. For a long time, many people saw nature as just separate pieces, but thinkers over centuries began to see deeper connections. Ancient cultures, like many Native American tribes, understood this best. They lived in harmony with the land, knowing their own well-being depended on the world's health. They knew if deer disappeared, wolves would suffer, and if sacred plants vanished, their way of life would change. This timeless wisdom is important today. This concept is simple, but its power is immense. Imagine a school playground. If suddenly the swings broke, it would affect how kids play and their happiness. Or, in a garden, if certain bees vanished, the flowers they pollinate might not grow fruit, and then the animals that eat that fruit would struggle. It's all connected, like a set of dominoes. Once you truly grasp this, you can't unsee it. You begin to look at a forest, a pond, or even your own backyard, not as separate parts, but as a living, breathing symphony where every instrument must play its part for the music to continue. It makes you realize how precious and fragile our world is, and how important it is for us to be mindful of our own actions within this vast, interconnected dance. This quiet understanding changes everything about how you see the world. Have you ever stopped to think why we love stories so much? From ancient myths passed down around a fire to the latest show you binge watch, stories are everywhere. But why? Here's the thing. Humans need stories to understand their world and themselves. A story isn't just a fun way to spend time. It's how we make sense of things. Imagine trying to explain something really big, like how the universe started, or why people sometimes act in confusing ways. A long list of facts might bore you. But if you tell it as a journey, a struggle, or a hero's quest, suddenly it makes sense. That's what stories do. They take jumbled pieces of life and put them into an order we can follow. For thousands of years, people have told stories. Before books or the internet, our ancestors gathered. They shared tales of hunting, of brave heroes, of why the sun rises or why the river flows. These weren't just entertainment. These stories taught them how to survive. They passed down wisdom, rules, and what it meant to be part of their group. Philosophers even saw myths as a way to understand deep truths about human nature and the world. They showed us right from wrong, fear, and courage. Think about a time you felt really confused or lost. Maybe you heard a story from a friend, a book, or a movie about someone going through something similar. Suddenly, you felt less alone. Their journey helped you see your own path more clearly. It's like when a scientist tells the story of how they discovered something amazing. It makes the science feel less like equations and more like an adventure. Stories give us patterns. They show us that challenges can be overcome, that feelings are shared, and that every ending is also a new beginning. So, stories aren't just pretty words. They are the maps for our minds, the language of our souls. They help us see things we couldn't before, understand feelings that felt too big. They connect us to each other and to all the people who came before us. And that's why, deep down, we will always need stories. They help us grasp what we can't unsee once it's understood. Have you ever stopped to think about where you really come from? Not just your parents or grandparents, but way, way back? It's easy to see history as something that happened long ago, something stuck in books or museums. But here's the thing. A huge part of history isn't out there. It's inside you. Your DNA is like a very old, incredible storybook, written in tiny code. Every single cell in your body holds chapters of who your ancestors were. When we talk about DNA, it means the instructions for building you things like your eye color, the shape of your nose, maybe even how easily you learn new things. But it's so much more than that. It's a living record of every person who came before you. Think about it like this. Imagine your family has a really old, treasured recipe for cookies. That recipe gets passed down from your great-great-grandparent to your great-grandparent, then to your grandparent, and now to your parents, and maybe someday to you. Each person uses the same basic recipe, maybe adding a tiny tweak, but the main parts are still there, connecting you to that very first baker. Your DNA is like that recipe, but for life itself. For thousands of years, humans faced challenges, ice ages, famines, long journeys. The ones who survived and had children passed on the parts of their DNA that helped them make it through. So, your ability to shiver when cold, or how your body heals a cut, or even your brain's ability to imagine and solve problems, these are not just yours. They are gifts from countless generations who learn to adapt and live. And that's why it matters. You are literally carrying the echoes of millions of lives. You are a bridge between the deep past and the future. This isn't just science. It's a quiet truth that connects us all. It makes you realize you are part of something much bigger and older than you could ever imagine. And once you understand that, you can't unsee the history living and breathing in every part of you. Have you ever paused, really paused, to wonder about something you see every single day? Something you've looked at 1,000 times, but never truly seen? It feels small, almost like a quiet whisper in your mind. But a simple question holds a surprising, gentle power. It's like a tiny, old key slowly turning in a lock you didn't even know was there. One moment, you see a thing just as it is. The next, after that question has echoed within you, you see its hidden layers, its quiet secrets, its true self. And once you truly see it, you can't unsee it then. It just becomes part of you. Think about the really old Greek thinkers thousands of years ago. There was a wise man named Socrates. He didn't have fancy schools or big books to teach from. His main tool, his greatest strength, was simply asking questions. He'd walk around talking to people, asking things that seemed simple like, what is fairness? Or what does it mean to be good? People thought they knew the answers, but his quiet, steady questions made them think deeper, pushing past what they assumed. They often ended up realizing how much they didn't know. This was a powerful way to learn, not by being told, but by being led to see for themselves. And even in science, so many amazing breakthroughs began with someone looking at something ordinary and just asking, why is it like that? So here's an example. Imagine you're walking by a wall and you see a shadow. At first, it's just a dark shape. But what if you stopped and asked, why is that shape there? What is causing it? Then you might look for the light source, maybe the sun and the object blocking the light, like a tree or a person. Suddenly, you see not just the shadow, but the relationship between the light, the object, and the space around it. The shadow doesn't change, but your understanding of it grows. You've moved from simply seeing a shadow to understanding the physics of light and form, and that new understanding is something you can't unsee. Here's the thing. The true magic isn't always in finding a perfect answer right away. Often, it's in the courage to simply ask, because that small question, that moment of genuine curiosity, is where new understanding begins. It's where the world around you, and even the world inside your own thoughts, starts to reveal its deeper truths, one quiet discovery at a time. So, keep asking. You might be surprised at what you start to truly see. Have you ever thought about what really happens when you drift off to sleep each night? It feels like a quiet pause, a gentle fading away from the day. But here's the thing. Your body and mind are doing anything but pausing. Sleep is one of those profound processes we participate in daily, yet often take for granted, not truly seeing its magic until we understand it. For a long time, people saw sleep as a mystery. Ancient philosophers and cultures often believed it was a temporary journey for the soul, or a time when gods might send messages through dreams. They didn't have microscopes or brain scanners. They sensed a great unknown. But as science grew, we started to peel back the layers of this nightly ritual. We learned that sleep isn't just one deep state. It's a careful dance through different stages, each with a special job. Your brain cycles through lighter sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep, where most of your vivid dreams happen. During deep sleep, your body does its heavy lifting. It repairs muscles, builds bones, and strengthens your immune system. It's like a busy construction crew working all night to fix and rebuild everything that got worn down during the day. Then, during REM sleep, your brain is busy sorting out memories, processing emotions, and clearing out unnecessary information, much like a computer organizing its files and deleting junk to run smoother. This isn't just about resting. It's an active, essential renewal for every part of you. Once you truly grasp that sleep is this incredible, silent work happening inside you every single night, designed to heal, refresh, and prepare you for tomorrow, you simply can't unsee its profound importance. It shifts from being just time off to being a vital, beautiful process of self-creation. Have you ever felt that strange, cold knot in your stomach, or your heart pounding like a drum, even when there's no visible danger around? Maybe before a big presentation, or when trying something new? Here's the thing about fear. It's not always about a monster chasing you. It's a very old, deeply wired part of us, like a silent alarm system that's been in our bodies for millions of years. Think of our ancient ancestors living in caves. Their fear wasn't about grades or social media. It was about survival. A rustle in the bushes could mean a predator. A sudden storm could mean no shelter. That immediate jolt of fear, the racing heart, the surge of energy that was their brain and body yelling, run or fight. This is called the fight or flight response. And it's a powerful, almost magical built-in protector. For them, it was essential. It helped them stay alive, passing on their genes to us. But here's what's curious. Our bodies still use this ancient system for things that aren't life-threatening today. When you're about to give a speech in front of your class, your body might react as if a saber-toothed tiger were in the room. Your palms get sweaty, your voice might shake. It's not a real threat, but your brain, especially the older parts, still interprets it as something big and potentially dangerous. So, your body prepares for battle or escape, even if all you need to do is talk. Philosophers might say that fear often whispers not of what is, but of what might be or what we might lose. It's less about the actual event and more about our expectations, our vulnerabilities, and once you truly grasp that fear isn't just a weakness, but an ancient, often misguided alarm bell, you can start to understand its signals differently. It's a message from your past, trying to keep you safe in a world that's changed faster than its instincts. Seeing this allows you to acknowledge fear without letting it entirely control you, making it something you can observe rather than just suffer through. What does it really mean to be strong? We often think about big muscles or winning a fight, right? But here's the thing. Real strength runs much deeper than what you can see on the outside. It's not just about how much weight you can lift or how fast you can run. For a long time, people mostly thought of strength as being physically powerful. Think of ancient warriors or knights in shining armor. Their strength was about brute force, about protecting their land or conquering others. But even way back then, smart people, like some old Greek philosophers, started to talk about a different kind of strength. They saw that being truly strong also meant having control over your own mind and feelings. It was about being able to resist doing something wrong or being brave enough to do something difficult, even when you were scared. They understood that it took a unique kind of power to stay calm when everything felt like chaos, or to choose kindness when it felt easier to be angry. Here's an example. Imagine you messed up badly. Maybe you said something unkind to a friend, or you failed a test you studied hard for. It takes incredible strength, not of your body, but of your spirit, to admit you made a mistake. It takes courage to apologize, or to keep trying, even after failing, instead of just giving up. And that's why it matters. True strength is often found in the quiet moments, in the tough decisions you make inside yourself. It's like how a tiny plant can push through hard concrete. It doesn't have big muscles, but it has an unstoppable will to grow. So when we talk about being strong, maybe we should also think about being strong enough to be gentle, strong enough to forgive, strong enough to be vulnerable and ask for help. It's about how well you handle the storms inside your own heart and how you choose to respond to the world, even when it's hard. It's about the quiet power of your character, and that's something you can't unsee once you really get it. Have you ever stopped to think that the most precious things in life often don't come in a box with a bow? We usually think of gifts as physical objects, something we can hold in our hands. But here's the thing. There are deeper, more lasting gifts that aren't tangible at all. These are the experiences, the feelings, or the quiet understandings that change us forever. They're not always obvious. Sometimes we don't even realize they're gifts until much, much later. They're often hidden in plain sight, just a part of our everyday lives. Think about people from history, like the old Greek thinkers or wise elders in ancient stories. They often talked about wisdom, kindness, or inner peace as true treasures. They weren't talking about gold or jewels. For example, the Roman philosopher Seneca once wrote about how time itself is our most valuable possession. He meant that every single moment is a gift, and we often let them slip away without truly seeing their worth. It's not something you can wrap up and give someone, but it's incredibly important. Here's an example. Imagine a time you faced a tough challenge. Maybe you failed at something, but you kept trying and finally got it right. That feeling of not giving up, that inner strength that's a gift. Or think about the comfort you feel when a friend truly understands you, even without you saying much. That deep connection, that quiet understanding, isn't a physical thing, but it's a profound gift of belonging. It makes your world feel a little safer, a little brighter. Once you start looking for these unwrapped gifts, you see them everywhere. They show up in a calm, quiet moment, in the growth that follows a difficult time, or in the simple beauty of a sunset. They aren't given to us with big fanfares or celebrations. Instead, they slowly unfold within us. They change how we see the world, making us richer in ways that money never could. And once you recognize them, you simply can't unsee their quiet, powerful presence in your life. Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain sounds make you feel a specific way? Why does the gentle patter of rain outside your window sometimes bring a sense of peace, while the sudden blare of a car horn makes you jump and feel annoyed? It's more than just noise hitting your eardrums. Sounds are like invisible conductors, guiding our emotions and even changing our moods without us even noticing. Here's the thing, sounds aren't just vibrations. They carry meaning, even if we don't consciously think about it. Our brains are wired to connect certain sounds to certain feelings. For centuries, people have understood this power. Thinkers in ancient Greece, for example, believed that different kinds of music could actually shape a person's character or move a whole crowd to feel strong emotions like joy or even sadness. They used music in their plays and ceremonies precisely because they knew how deeply sounds could touch the human spirit. It's like when you're watching a movie. The scary low rumble right before a surprise attack on screen, it tightens your chest and makes your heart race, even if you know it's not real. Or the soft, sweeping melody that plays when the hero finally wins. That music doesn't just fill the silence, it tells you exactly what to feel, making you feel hopeful or relieved. The sounds don't just happen around the story, they are part of the story of your feelings, and that's why it matters. Sounds are always working on us, creating an unseen landscape of feeling inside our minds. They can whisper comfort, shout excitement, or hum a quiet sadness, often without us even realizing why we feel that way. So, the next time you hear a sound, really listen. Think about what it's doing to your insides. It's a quiet reminder of how deeply connected we are to the world, and how even the softest sound can subtly change how we experience a moment. Have you ever really looked at a seed? Not just seen it, but truly looked, imagining what it holds? It seems so small, just a tiny speck, often no bigger than a grain of sand or a pebble. But here's the thing. Inside that little package is everything a giant tree needs to grow. It's like a secret blueprint, a tiny instruction manual for life, all folded up and waiting. Think about it. A huge oak tree, hundreds of years old, started as an acorn, which is just a seed. The entire forest, full of towering plants, began with these small, quiet things. Ancient thinkers and wise people through history have often seen seeds as symbols of huge potential. They understood that the universe itself, with all its vastness, might have started from something unbelievably small, just like a seed. They saw how big things come from small beginnings. It shows us that even the most massive, impressive things have humble roots. This idea isn't just about plants, though. It's a way of looking at the world. Imagine you have a tiny idea, maybe just a flicker in your mind, like wanting to build a cool robot or write a story. That idea, small as it seems, is like a seed. It holds all the potential for a big project, a long book, or a grand invention. You can't really see the whole forest in an acorn, and you can't see the finished robot in a first thought, but it's there, hidden. So when you understand this, that something so small can contain so much future, you can't unsee it. You start to look at everything differently. A single word can hold a whole world of meaning. A single, kind act can spark a huge change. And you realize that you, too, are like a seed. You hold so much unseen potential, waiting for the right conditions to grow into something amazing. It's a quiet power, always there, ready to unfold. Have you ever stopped to really notice how much of life seems to come back around? Like how the sun always sets, only to rise again, or how winter always turns into spring. This idea that things move in patterns and loops is what we call the cycle of everything. It's not about things repeating exactly. Instead, think of it more like a spiral. You come back to a similar place, but you're always a little bit further along, a little bit different. Here's the thing. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Ancient Greek thinkers, like Heraclitus, talked about how you can never step into the same river twice because the water is always new, even though it's still the same river. And in many Eastern philosophies, like Buddhism, there's the concept of samsara, meaning the cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. They all understood that life isn't just a straight line. It's a constant flow. Think about the water cycle you learned in science class. Rain falls, runs into rivers, evaporates, forms clouds, and then falls as rain again. It never truly ends. Or consider the life of a tree. A seed sprouts, grows, drops its own seeds, and eventually, the old tree becomes part of the earth, feeding new life. It's all connected, and that's why it matters. Once you start seeing these cycles, it changes how you look at endings. A leaf falling isn't just an end. It's part of the earth preparing for new growth. A quiet moment before a storm isn't empty. It's the stillness needed for change. Understanding these natural rhythms helps us see that loss or change isn't always final. It's often just one part of a bigger, ongoing story. It's a comforting thought, knowing that even when things seem over, something new is quietly beginning. Have you ever really looked at the moon at night? Not just a quick glance, but really watched its soft, quiet glow in the dark sky? For a long, long time, people believed the moon made its own light, that it was a giant, luminous lamp hanging above us. It felt magical, mysterious, a true source of calm brightness. And that idea, it had its own kind of beauty. But here's the thing, the moon doesn't make any light on its own, not a single spark. Its glow, that gentle, silvery shine, is actually just sunlight bouncing off its surface. Think of it like a giant mirror in space, catching the sun's powerful rays and reflecting them down to us. This simple scientific fact changed how we understood the moon and how we saw our place in the universe. Ancient thinkers gazed at the moon, building myths around its light, seeing it as a divine force. For them, it truly gave light. But through careful observation, people slowly saw the truth. It was a shift from what seemed to be to knowing what truly was. Think of a friend's happy face. Their joy lights up a room, but that joy often comes from good news or something kind done for them. They reflect a positive feeling. The moon's light is like this. It's a borrowed brilliance, yet it still fills our nights with peace and beauty. And once you understand this, that the moon's beautiful glow is just a reflection, you can't unsee it. Every time you look up, you see a story of reflection. It teaches us that even borrowed light can be beautiful. Knowing the truth doesn't make it less special. Sometimes it makes it even more so. It's a quiet truth about finding beauty in real facts. Have you ever held on to something so tightly, maybe a memory or a hurt, that it started to feel heavier and heavier? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? How something invisible can weigh so much. The art of letting go isn't about forgetting or pretending things didn't happen. Instead, it's a quiet choice to release the grip we have on things that no longer serve us, making space for peace to bloom. Think of it like this. If you hold a handful of sand as tightly as you can, what happens? It slips through your fingers, doesn't it? And your hand gets tired, maybe even sore. But if you open your hand, letting the sand rest gently, it stays. Or, if you choose, you can let it drift away, leaving your hand open and ready for something new. That's a little like letting go. It's not about ignoring what was, but about choosing not to carry its burden constantly. This idea isn't new. Wise people across history have talked about it. Ancient philosophers, like the Stoics, taught us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. Many Eastern traditions, like Buddhism, speak of non-attachment. This means understanding that clinging to things, whether they are good or bad experiences, or even ideas about who we are, can cause suffering. They show us that true freedom often comes from releasing our hold. So when you've had a tough day at school, or a disagreement with a friend, it's easy to replay it in your mind, holding on to the frustration. But here's the thing, understanding that you can choose to release that heavy feeling, like letting go of a kite string in a strong wind, is powerful. It doesn't mean the problem disappears, but your relationship with it changes. You gain a lightness. This understanding, once felt, is something you simply can't unsee. The freedom, the gentle ease that follows, stays with you, a quiet wisdom about how to navigate the world with a lighter heart. Have you ever found yourself gazing up at the night sky, lost in the twinkling lights? It's a feeling almost everyone shares. We see those distant stars, and something deep inside us tugs. It's not just about seeing bright dots. It's about a quiet wonder, a deep sense of curiosity about what else is out there, and how small we feel in such a huge place. This feeling, this pull, is one of those things you can't unsee once you understand it. For thousands of years, long before our phones or even electricity, people looked up. They didn't have maps like ours, so the stars were their guides across oceans and deserts. They told stories about them, seeing heroes and monsters in the constellations. Ancient cultures, from the Egyptians to the Native Americans, didn't just see lights. They saw gods, destinies, and answers to life's biggest questions. They wondered, where did we come from? What is our purpose? They used the stars to track time, to know when to plant crops, and to mark important events. The stars were like an ancient clock and calendar all rolled into one. Think about it like looking at an old, faded photograph of your great-grandparents. You don't just see faces. You wonder about their lives, their dreams, what the world was like for them. The stars are a bit like that ancient photographs of the universe, asking us to wonder. So, when we look up, we're not just looking at science. We're connecting with a timeless human habit. We're part of a long chain of people who felt that same powerful draw. It's a quiet reminder that even though the world can feel big and confusing, there's an even bigger, more mysterious beauty above us. Always there, inviting us to dream and to question. Have you ever really listened? Not just heard words, but truly listened to another person, or even to the quiet hum of the world around you? Here's the thing. Listening is far more than just letting sounds hit your ears. It's about creating space inside yourself for someone else's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. It means truly trying to understand, not just waiting for your turn to speak. Think about it this way. When we listen deeply, we're doing something ancient and powerful. For centuries, wise people, from ancient Greek philosophers like Epictetus to Native American elders, have taught that we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. It's a quiet reminder that understanding should happen twice as much as speaking. They knew that true wisdom often comes from listening more than from talking. It's about being present, open, and patient. Imagine your best friend comes to you upset about something that happened at school. You could just nod along, maybe offer a quick fix. But what if you really listened? What if you heard the sadness in their voice, the frustration behind their words, and the unspoken worry in their eyes? That deep listening isn't just polite. It's like tuning a complex instrument. You're not just hearing notes, you're feeling the whole melody. It helps you see the world from their side, and that's why it matters. This quiet power changes us. When we truly listen, we begin to notice the unspoken things, the emotions hidden beneath the surface. It's like a soft light shining on something you couldn't see before. This isn't just about being nice. It's about building stronger connections, about gaining a deeper understanding of life itself. The world often asks us to speak up, to be loud, but sometimes the most profound understanding, the things you can't unsee, comes from the quiet act of listening. It's a gentle strength that makes the world and our place in it much clearer. What if the idea of normal isn't a solid thing at all, but more like a hazy dream, shifting and changing with every passing moment? We often imagine normal as this steady line, a common way of being, thinking, or looking that everyone should follow. But here's the thing, that line is always moving. It's not a true measure of what is right or wrong, but simply what most people tend to do or believe at a certain time and place. For centuries, thinkers have questioned this idea. Ancient Greek philosophers knew that what was considered acceptable or normal in one city-state might be very strange in another. Later, people like the French philosopher Michel Foucault made us see that normal is often created by society itself. It's built on traditions, rules, and even unspoken agreements that our communities make. Think about it. What was completely normal for your grandparents, like knowing all your neighbors by name or eating dinner at a very specific time, might feel unusual to you now. Fashion, manners, even how we show emotions, all these things shift with the years. Proving normal is more of a temporary agreement than a timeless truth. Imagine if you tried to wear clothes from the 1980s to school today. Most people would look at you funny, right? But back then, that was totally normal. Or consider how many unique species exist on Earth. Each has its own normal way of living, perfectly suited to its environment. There isn't one universal normal for how a creature should be. So, maybe the real journey isn't trying to squeeze ourselves into some changing idea of normal. Maybe it's about seeing that our differences are not flaws, but parts of a rich, colorful tapestry. The deepest understanding begins when we look beyond what's expected and simply embrace the quiet beauty of being exactly who we are, unique and real. Have you ever sat in a sunbeam, watching tiny specks float and jump in the light? What are these little bits doing? And why do they never stay still? These are dust particles, and their never-ending jittery movement is something amazing. It's like a tiny, secret ballet happening all around us, but we only see it when the light hits just right. Here's the thing, these dust particles aren't moving on their own. They're actually being bumped around by something even smaller, invisible air molecules. Every second, millions of these tiny air molecules crash into a dust speck from all sides. Because these bumps aren't perfectly even, the dust particle gets nudged one way, then another, creating that wild, wobbly path we see. People noticed this long ago, but it wasn't until the early 1800s that a Scottish botanist named Robert Brown saw something similar with pollen grains in water. He couldn't explain it. But then, much later, Albert Einstein, who you might know from his theories about space and time, looked at this Brownian motion in the early 1900s. He showed that this constant, random jiggling was proof that atoms and molecules really exist. Before that, some scientists weren't so sure. So, watching dust dance actually proved a huge idea in science. Think about it like being in a super crowded hallway. If you're standing still and people are constantly bumping into you from all directions, you'd probably start to sway and move, even if you don't mean to. That's kind of what's happening to the dust, and that's why it matters. Once you understand this, you can't unsee it. You realize that even in the quietest room, there's an unseen world of constant motion, of tiny forces at play. It shows us that reality is so much deeper than what meets the eye. Even the seemingly empty air around us is alive with invisible energy. It makes you wonder what else is happening just beyond our normal sight, doesn't it? Have you ever stopped to wonder if your thoughts, those quiet whispers inside your head, actually have a kind of power? It's not about magic spells or instant wishes coming true. Instead, it's about something far more real and deeply woven into the fabric of our lives. Here's the thing, our thoughts are like invisible architects. They draw the blueprints for what we see, what we feel, and what we do. This idea isn't new. Ancient thinkers, long before science as we know it, understood that the way you look at the world changes your world. Philosophers like the Stoics, for example, taught that while we can't always control what happens to us, we absolutely control how we react to it, how we think about it, and that inner reaction shapes everything else. Think about it this way. Imagine you decide you want to build a really cool treehouse. The idea starts small, just a flicker in your mind. But then, that thought grows. You start picturing the design, how many boards you'll need, where it will go. That thought isn't just sitting there, it pushes you. You start drawing plans, talking to your parents, maybe even collecting wood. The invisible thought begins to unfold into visible actions. And eventually, a real treehouse stands there. A solid thing that started as just an idea in your head. So, the power isn't in wishing, but in how our thoughts guide our attention, our choices, and our actions. Our inner landscape, the world of our beliefs and ideas, is constantly sculpting our outer reality. Understanding this can be a quiet revelation. It means our thoughts are more than just fleeting clouds. They are the quiet, persistent forces that help shape the very ground we walk on. And that's why paying attention to what we think truly matters. Have you ever said a word, a really simple one, and then suddenly felt its true weight? It's like you've been looking at that word your whole life, thinking you knew it. But then, one day, something shifts. What you thought was just a sound or a mark on a page becomes a doorway. This is about realizing that even the plainest words hold entire worlds of feeling and history inside them. They are not just labels. They are echoes of human experience, built up over hundreds or thousands of years. Think about the ancient thinkers. People like Plato. He believed that behind every everyday thing or word, there was a perfect, unchanging idea. So, when we say truth, he might have thought there's not just a word, but a perfect truth existing somewhere. Poets, too, throughout history, have always known this. They spend their lives trying to pull out the hidden light and shadow from words, trying to make us feel what they truly mean, beyond just their surface definition. They understood words were alive, not just dead letters. Take the word home, for example. For most of us, home means a house or an apartment. It's a physical place. But if you stop and really feel it, home isn't just wood and bricks. It's the feeling of safety, the smell of your family's cooking, the sound of laughter echoing through rooms, the comfort of your own bed after a long day. It's memories, it's belonging, it's where you feel completely yourself. All that emotion and memory is packed into those 4 letters. This way of looking at words changes things. It's like you've gained a new set of eyes, or maybe even a new set of ears. A word like friend or courage or peace stops being just a sound you hear or read. It becomes a whole world, a landscape of shared human feeling and experience. And here's the thing. Once you start to see this, once you truly understand the layers within a simple word, you can't unsee it. It makes our language and our world so much richer. It reminds us that deeper meanings are always there, waiting to be found. Have you ever rushed through something, like homework or a drawing, only to regret it later? Like you missed something important, or it didn't turn out as well? That feeling hints at the true cost of haste. It's not just about speed, it's about what we lose when we hurry too much. Haste is more than just moving fast. It's acting without enough thought, pushing forward so quickly that we don't really see what's happening around us or within the task itself. This idea is ancient. Think of old stories, like the tortoise and the hare, where slow and steady wins the race, or ancient sayings that warn, more haste, less speed. This means when you rush, you often make more mistakes, which actually slows you down. Wise people always knew patience and time were better than just being fast. They understood that real progress comes from careful, thoughtful steps. Here's an everyday example. Imagine you're building a Lego set, a really cool one with a lot of pieces. You're excited to finish, so you just snap pieces together without looking closely at the instructions. What happens? Parts might not fit right, or you might realize later that you put a whole section on backward. You then have to take it apart and start again. That rush to be done didn't save time. It actually made more work. You might even feel frustrated and miss the fun of building. This idea goes deeper than just tasks. When we rush through our days, conversations, or even our own thoughts, we miss a lot. We might not notice small, beautiful details, like light on a leaf, or the quiet strength in a friend's voice. We might miss chances to truly understand new ideas, or to really connect with someone. Haste can make us blind to these things, holding us back from deeper understanding or moments of peace. Once you see what haste takes away, it's like a hidden truth revealed. You realize the value of slowing down, of being present. The true cost of rushing isn't just time. It's often a piece of ourselves or the beauty of the moment that we can't get back. Have you ever looked closely at something old or a little broken and felt a quiet kind of strength or specialness about it? It's easy for us to think that beauty means being perfect, flawless, or brand new. But what if true beauty often lives in things that aren't perfect at all? This idea, the beauty in imperfection, is about discovering value, charm, and deep meaning in flaws, cracks, and all the unique marks that time leaves behind. It's about understanding that not perfect doesn't mean not beautiful. Ancient thinkers, especially in places like Japan, have long understood this. They have a special way of looking at the world called wabi-sabi. It's more than just a word, it's a whole feeling. Wabi-sabi teaches us to truly appreciate things that are simple, old, or a little worn. It celebrates objects and moments exactly as they are, without wishing they were different. It believes every chip, every fade tells a part of a unique story, making something richer, not less. Consider your favorite old t-shirt. Maybe it has a small tear or a faded spot. A brand new shirt might seem perfect on the hanger, but your old one holds memories. It's comfortable and it feels like you. Or imagine a tree that grew strong but a little crooked because of the wind and weather it faced. It's not perfectly straight, but its unique, twisted shape tells a story of survival and adapting. That very crookedness makes it unforgettable, doesn't it? So, The next time you see something that isn't perfect in the usual way, maybe a chipped mug, an old book with pages creased from many readings, or even a friend who makes a mistake try to look a bit deeper, there's often a quiet, powerful beauty there. It's a gentle reminder that the most interesting stories are often told, not just in perfection, but in every bump, every scratch, every unique twist and turn. This teaches us to be kinder, not just to the world around us, but also to ourselves and our own so-called flaws. Because sometimes, the very things we think are wrong are exactly what makes something truly special. Have you ever had one of those days where nothing seems to go right? Maybe you felt frustrated, sad, or just totally worn out. We all want good days, full of sunshine and easy smiles, but here's the thing. What if those hard days, the ones we label bad, are actually essential? What if they're not just something to get through, but something needed? Think about it like this. In ancient times, wise thinkers understood that life comes with both light and shadow. Philosophers like the Stoics taught, we can't control what happens, but we can control our reaction. They saw challenges not as punishments, but as chances to grow stronger. It's like a tree that gets battered by strong winds. Those winds make its roots dig deeper, making it stronger. A tree that only knew gentle breezes might snap in the first storm. So a bad day isn't just about feeling down, it's a powerful teacher. It helps us understand what happiness feels like by giving us its opposite. You wouldn't know cool drink sweetness if you never felt thirsty, right? Or a warm bed's comfort if you never felt cold. These difficult moments act like contrast, making life's brighter parts stand out. They also show us what we're made of. When things are tough, we learn about our inner strength, patience, and how to bounce back. It helps us see what truly matters and who our real friends are. And that's why it matters. Going through darkness helps us appreciate the light. It makes us kinder, more understanding, and more complete. So, next time a bad day rolls around, try to see it not as a curse, but as a quiet, powerful gift. Have you ever stopped to think about why we feel the urge to help someone who is hurting? Is it just a warm feeling? Or is there something more reasoned, almost logical, about compassion? Here's the thing. Compassion isn't just a fuzzy emotion. It's a deep understanding of another's suffering, combined with a sincere desire to ease it. The logic of compassion means that acting with kindness and empathy isn't just nice. It actually makes sense, both for us as individuals and for everyone around us. Think about it like this. For thousands of years, across different cultures and beliefs, wise people have talked about how deeply connected we all are. Ancient philosophers, like those in Greece or India, realized that when one person suffers, it affects the whole group. When we help someone, we're not just being generous, we're strengthening the fabric of our shared humanity. It's a basic principle for how humans can live together and thrive. Imagine you see a classmate struggling to carry a pile of books, and some fall. Your first instinct might be to rush over and help them pick them up. That quick, helpful response isn't just about feeling sorry for them, it's also a logical action. You understand their difficulty, and you know that helping them makes their life, and maybe even your own, a little easier. It builds trust and makes the classroom a friendlier place. Understanding the logic of compassion means realizing that caring for others isn't a weakness, but a powerful strength. It's a clear understanding that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. Once you grasp this, you start seeing how kindness isn't just an option, but a fundamental part of a sensible, connected life. It's a quiet truth that, once truly understood, feels impossible to unsee. Have you ever found yourself in that quiet space when there's absolutely nothing fun to do? Maybe your phone battery died, or the internet went out, or you're just sitting in a waiting room. At first, it can feel kind of empty. That heavy, dragging feeling we call boredom. But here's the thing. What if boredom isn't an empty space at all, but a signal? What if it's a push? A quiet whisper from your own mind, urging you to create or discover something new. For a long time, many thinkers, from ancient philosophers to modern psychologists, have looked at boredom differently. They didn't see it as a lack of things to do, but as a fertile ground for thought. Think about it. If your mind is always busy with outside noise, where does it find time to listen to itself? The Roman philosopher Seneca, for example, talked about the importance of leisure, not as doing nothing, but as time to reflect and grow. It's in those moments of quiet that true insights can appear. And that's why it matters for you. Imagine you're stuck on a really long car ride. At first, you're just staring out the window, feeling bored, but after a while, your mind might start drifting. Maybe you begin to notice patterns in the clouds, or you start making up stories about the people in other cars. Perhaps you even start planning out your next big idea for a school project, or you think about a problem you've been trying to solve. That stillness, that moment of nothing, allowed your brain to switch gears, to explore its own landscape. So, when boredom shows up, don't just see it as a problem to be fixed with a screen, see it as an invitation. It's a chance for your mind to breathe, to wander, and to stumble upon new ideas or deeper feelings. It's not a void, but a quiet, powerful force that nudges you towards creativity, self-reflection, and understanding yourself a little better. It's a reminder that some of the most profound discoveries happen when the world outside goes silent, and you're left with just your own thoughts. Do you ever pause just before eating and truly think about the food on your plate? It's not just something you bought at the store, right? Every apple, every grain of rice has a long journey behind it. And that journey holds a lot more than just facts. It holds deep, quiet stories. Here's the thing. We often see our food as separate from us, just an item we consume. But what if we looked at it differently? What if we saw it as a living link to the earth, to history, and to countless people? This idea asks us to understand that nothing just appears. Everything comes from somewhere, from a process, from effort, and from a kind of natural magic. Think about a simple slice of bread. It starts as tiny seeds planted in the ground. Farmers work the soil, facing weather, hoping for sun and rain. Then the wheat grows, gets harvested, milled into flour. Bakers mix it, knead it, bake it. All those steps, all those hands, all that energy, just for that one slice. That's the story you can't unsee. For thousands of years, humans have been connecting with their food this way. Ancient people didn't have supermarkets. They knew the soil, they knew the animals. They understood that their survival was deeply tied to the land, to the seasons, to the rain, and to the hard work of their community. This wasn't just about eating, it was about respect for life itself. They felt a profound sense of connection and gratitude for what the earth provided. So, when you see your food, you can start to see more than just a meal. You can see the sun that warmed the soil, the rain that watered the plants, the hands that planted and harvested. You can see the long history of humans learning to live with the earth, and that's why it matters. This understanding can change how you feel about every single bite. It makes you realize how connected everything really is, and how much there is to be thankful for. It's a quiet truth about our place in the world. Have you ever walked into a new group, like a class or a club, and felt a quiet, invisible pull guiding everyone's actions? It's as if rules exist, but no one wrote them down. This is the unseen rules of groups. They aren't formal rules from a handbook. Instead, they are unspoken understandings, silent agreements about how people should behave, what's okay to say, or how close to stand. Humans are social creatures. We've always lived in groups, from early tribes to our busy lives today. Ancient thinkers knew this, noting how our lives are shaped by others. For any group to work, people need to get along. These rules grew from that basic need. They are like hidden currents in a river. You can't see them, but they quietly guide everything. Think about a group of friends. One might always tell jokes, another is the quiet listener, and someone else is the planner. No one assigned these roles, but everyone just knows. It's an unspoken agreement that helps the group flow smoothly. If someone new joins, they might accidentally break a rule. The group might feel awkward until the new person learns how things are done. When we see these unseen rules, it's like understanding a hidden language of human connection. It helps us grasp why people act as they do. Once you understand these currents, you can navigate them thoughtfully. This allows you to choose if you want to fit in or gently make your own path. It's a quiet understanding of the human heart, always seeking connection and belonging. Have you ever really thought about what happens the moment you speak? It's more than just sound. Your voice, the words you choose, can be like a key. It unlocks understandings in others and in yourself too. Once a truth or new idea is spoken aloud, it becomes real in a new way. It's out there. And here's the thing. Once something is shared by your voice, it's often impossible for people to go back to not knowing it. They simply can't unsee what your words have brought into the light. Think about history. Big changes often started with one person finding their voice. Ancient thinkers believed words could shape societies. Or picture someone speaking out against an unfair rule. Before they spoke, people might have just accepted it. But when that voice clearly names the injustice, it makes it plain for everyone. Suddenly, what was normal becomes obviously wrong. That truth is hard to ignore once heard. Consider a simple example from your daily life. Imagine you and your friends are planning something, and you notice a crucial detail everyone else missed. If you stay quiet, that detail stays hidden. But if you say, "Hey, what if we also consider this?" Suddenly, that missing piece is visible to everyone. It changes how the whole plan looks. Once they see it, they can't unsee its importance. So, your voice, even when it's just a quiet thought, holds an amazing power. It can shine a light on what's hidden, challenge what's not fair, or simply share a new way of looking at the world. It's a powerful tool, not just for making noise, but for making a difference that stays with people. And that's why what you choose to say truly matters. Have you ever stopped to truly look at a plant, not just see it, but feel its quiet presence? It's easy to walk past trees or grass without a thought, but there's a deep, unspoken magic happening all around us. Once you understand it, you can't unsee it. This quiet magic isn't about spells. It's the silent, steady work plants do that makes Earth's life possible. They stand still, rooted, yet constantly transform the world. They take in what we exhale and give back the very air we need to live. It's a basic, vital exchange between all living things. For thousands of years, long before science explained photosynthesis, people sensed this deep connection. Ancient cultures, like Native Americans, calling trees the standing people, knew plants were wise, vital beings. They understood the green world was alive with power we depended on. Philosophers have seen this quiet persistence, this endless growth and renewal as a mirror of life itself. Here's how it works. Every breath you take, the fresh oxygen in your lungs, was just created by a plant. A tree or grass in the park, they are silent factories of life. They take sunlight, water, and the air we call used, carbon dioxide, changing it into the oxygen that keeps us going. They're quietly sharing their life with us every second. And that's why it matters. Once you truly grasp this, once you see the quiet, constant effort of plants, you can't unsee it. Their stillness isn't laziness. It's a deep, giving presence. It reminds us of unseen connections that support us. There's a simple beauty in just existing and giving, like a plant. Have you ever learned something so deeply it changed everything forever? It's not just adding new facts. It's like a quiet moment when an old way of seeing things simply ends. This is the end of beginnings. For certain insights, the beginning that time before you knew, before you truly saw can never be re-entered. Once you connect the dots, once the light comes on, you can't go back to not knowing. That simple, innocent state, where something felt like an unexplored mystery, is gone. It means the old beginning, for that specific thing, is permanently closed. Thinkers for ages have discussed how knowledge changes us. Sometimes, it's less about collecting facts and more about shedding old ways. Like in old stories, when someone gains understanding, they often lose previous innocence. There's no going back to that simpler state. They are forever changed by what they now understand. Consider figuring out a magic trick. Before, watching the magician felt like real magic, a true mystery. But then, someone showed you the clever secret, a hidden panel, or a quick hand movement. Once you knew that secret, you could never watch it with the same wide-eyed wonder. You couldn't unknow it. The beginning of believing it was true magic was over. Pure amazement was replaced by understanding how it was done. Here's the thing. This isn't a sad ending. It's powerful growth. We might lose simple innocence, but we gain deeper wisdom, a clearer view of the world. It means you are moving forward, becoming someone who sees more. It's a quiet shift inside you, gently closing one part of your story as a richer chapter begins. Your world doesn't end, but how you begin to see certain parts of it does, shaping who you are becoming. The start of endings. Have you ever noticed how some things don't just stop, but instead begin to fade away quietly? It's not the big sudden finish, but the gentle shift just before the end truly arrives. This is the start of endings. It's a deep truth that, once seen, can't be unseen. Here's what I mean. We often think an ending is a sharp cutoff, like when movie credits roll or the school bell rings, but most things in life don't work that way. They have a subtle beginning to their end. Think of twilight. The sun hasn't set yet, but the light is already softening, moving toward night. That fading is the start of the day's end. Ancient thinkers like Heraclitus understood this. He said, you can't step into the same river twice. The water is always new. This means everything quietly changes, ending what it was as it becomes new. Like a beautiful flower. From its bloom, it subtly begins its fade. Its beauty holds its quiet ending. Consider the last week of summer vacation. You're still having fun, but a different feeling is in the air. Maybe you see back-to-school ads. That quiet shift, that feeling, that's the start of summer's end. The true end isn't just the first day of class. It started much earlier, softly. Understanding this helps us see the world. It teaches us to be more present, to appreciate moments. It's not about being sad that things change. Instead, it's about recognizing life's quiet dance. Every new beginning carries the promise of an ending, and every ending is just the start of something new, always flowing. This knowing helps us appreciate change. Have you ever stopped to wonder if the world around you is exactly as it seems? What if reality, this solid thing we touch and feel, has hidden layers, like a secret pattern woven into everything? This is what we mean by the fabric of reality. It's not just the physical things, the trees, the streets, your phone. It's also the unseen rules, the ways our minds work, and the deeper connections between things that aren't obvious at first glance. Think of it like a giant, beautiful tapestry. We usually just see the picture on the front, but the fabric includes the knots, the hidden threads on the back, and even the way it was put together. For thousands of years, deep thinkers and philosophers have asked, what is truly real? Ancient Greek thinkers wondered if what we see is just a shadow of a more perfect, true world. Later, scientists began looking closer, finding that even solid objects are mostly empty space, made of tiny particles dancing. It's a gentle reminder that what seems certain can shift and change once we look with new eyes. Here's an example. Think about an optical illusion. You might see an image of a vase, but then someone points out that the empty space around it also forms two faces looking at each other. The picture itself didn't change, but your understanding of it did. You can't unsee the faces once you've seen them, and suddenly the reality of that picture is richer, more complex. So, when we talk about the fabric of reality, it's about seeing beyond the surface. It's about realizing that our understanding shapes what we experience, and that the world is always inviting us to look a little closer, to notice the patterns we never saw before. It's a quiet understanding that what we consider true can always expand, always deepen, making our world a more wondrous and mysterious place. Have you ever just stopped and wondered why even the strongest things eventually come apart? Why does a perfect sandcastle melt back into the beach? Or a brand new toy suddenly stop working for no clear reason? It's a quiet truth about our world. Everything, eventually, moves towards a state of undoing. This isn't just about stuff breaking. It's about a fundamental law of the universe, a gentle pull towards disorder. Ancient thinkers, long before us, noticed this pattern. They saw how seasons change, how empires rise and fall, how a vibrant flower wilts. In science, we call this entropy. It sounds like a big word, but here's what it means. Things naturally tend to become less ordered and more spread out over time. Think about a messy room. It takes effort to clean it, but it gets messy all on its own. You don't have to try to make it messy, it just happens. The ancient Greeks also talked about how everything has a natural lifespan, a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's just the way things are in the world. This idea is deeply woven into our everyday lives. Consider your favorite t-shirt. When you first bought it, it was bright and soft, perfect, but after many washes and wears, the color fades, the fabric thins, maybe a tiny hole appears. It doesn't magically get newer, right? It naturally wears down. That's just its journey. And that's okay. It's part of its story. Or think about a friendship. You build it with trust and shared moments. Sometimes, over time, without anyone doing anything wrong, it might drift apart or change. It's not breaking in a loud way, but simply moving to a different state. Here's the thing. This isn't always a sad ending. Sometimes, when something breaks or fades, it creates new space. A tree falling in the forest makes room for new saplings to grow. A difficult feeling that breaks you open can, in time, lead to greater understanding and strength. So understanding why things break down helps us appreciate what is whole and present right now. It helps us see change not just as loss, but as a constant movement, a natural rhythm of existence. It can teach us patience, and maybe, just maybe, how to build things with a little more care, knowing their journey towards change has already begun. Have you ever really thought about how you see things, not just with your eyes, but with your mind? Imagine a completely dark room. You can't make anything out. Then, a small crack of light appears. As more light enters, shapes slowly appear. You begin to understand what's in the room, what was hidden. This is like the journey of light we're talking about. It's how knowledge, like light, helps us see things differently, in ways we can't unsee once we truly grasp them. For ages, thinkers have used light as a symbol for truth and understanding. Think about ancient Greece. The philosopher Plato told a famous story, the allegory of the cave. He pictured people chained in a cave, only ever seeing shadows on a wall. They believed these shadows were real, but one person broke free and went into the actual sunlight. At first, the brightness hurt their eyes. Then, they began to see the real world, full of color and detail. That person couldn't go back to believing the shadows. They had seen the true light. This idea happens in our daily lives too. Think about solving a tough math problem. At first, it's just confusing numbers. But then maybe a teacher shows you a new way, or an example just clicks. Suddenly, the light comes on. You understand the pattern, the rule, and after that, you can't go back to being confused by that problem. It makes sense now. You've truly seen it. So, this journey of light is about moving from not knowing to truly knowing, from confusion to clear understanding. It's about moments when a new idea lights up your mind, making something forever clear. When that light shines, you don't just see, you understand. And that understanding changes how you see the world, for good. It's a quiet, powerful journey. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what you are truly seeing? It seems like a simple question, right? But here's the thing. When you gaze at a faraway star, you are not seeing it as it is right this very second. You are actually looking into the past. This is because light, even though it travels incredibly fast, still takes time to get from one place to another. Think about it like this. If a star is 1,000 light years away, that means the light you see from it today started its journey 1,000 years ago. By the time that light reaches your eyes, the star might have changed or even exploded, but you wouldn't know it because its now hasn't reached you yet. This idea can be a little mind-bending, but it's a fundamental part of how our universe works. Early humans just saw bright dots, but with science, we learned about this amazing time travel. And that's why it matters beyond just outer space. Our world is full of these echoes too. Think about a very old photograph of your grandparents when they were kids. When you look at that picture, you're not seeing them as they are now, but as they were many years ago. Their younger selves are still there, captured in that moment, reaching across time to you. In the same way, important choices made hundreds of years ago, or powerful words spoken by someone long gone, can still shape our lives today. Their influence, like the light from a distant star, keeps traveling through time, affecting everything around us. It makes you realize that nothing truly disappears. Everything leaves a trace, an echo that continues to ripple through the world, shaping what comes next. And once you understand this, you see echoes everywhere. Have you ever stopped to truly notice your days? Not just big events, but all the small things you do without thinking, like grabbing your phone first, or how you pack your backpack. These are your habits, and here's the thing. They form a powerful pattern you can't unsee once understood. What are habits, really? Think of them as tiny, invisible currents guiding your actions. Your brain, being smart, creates shortcuts for things you do often. Instead of deciding every time how to tie your shoes, your brain runs a preset routine. It saves energy. Repeat actions enough, and they become ingrained, like well-worn paths. This idea isn't new. Philosophers, even in ancient Greece, knew this. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." He meant your character isn't just about one big moment. It's about the steady stream of small choices and actions daily. Doing things, good or bad, again and again makes it part of you. Think about practicing a musical instrument. At first, every note feels awkward and takes effort, but repeat it, and your fingers know what to do without even trying. That's a habit forming, a pattern emerging. Suddenly, you're not just playing notes, you're making music. Once you see this pattern, how these small, repeated actions build your life, it changes everything. Your future isn't just a faraway mystery. It's being shaped right now by the tiny habits you're forming. This understanding brings quiet power. If you want to change direction, you don't need a dramatic jump. You just gently shift one tiny thread in the vast tapestry of your daily pattern. That, in itself, is a profound thought. Have you ever stopped to truly consider what enough means? It's a word we use often, but its real depth can be tricky to grasp. Here's the thing. Enough isn't a fixed amount, like 3 apples or $10. It's not about a magic number or a giant pile of things. It's a feeling. It's that quiet moment when you realize you have what you need right here, right now, and that feeling brings a calm satisfaction. For thousands of years, wise thinkers have wrestled with this idea. Old philosophers, even people in ancient cultures, noticed something important. They saw that always chasing more money, more fame, more stuff often led to an endless hunger. It felt like nothing was ever quite complete. They understood that true peace wasn't found in collecting the world's treasures, but in finding contentment within oneself, in what was already present. This idea, in a simple way, is at the heart of many ancient teachings about living a good life. Think about your phone, for example. Maybe you just got a new one, and for a while it felt amazing. You had the latest apps, the best camera. You felt like you finally had enough in the palm of your hand. But then, a few months later, a newer model comes out. Suddenly, your amazing phone doesn't feel quite enough anymore. That new one seems better, faster, cooler. It's easy to get caught in that loop, always looking for the next thing that promises to make us feel complete. The true meaning of enough isn't about reaching some finish line of possessions or achievements. It's a quiet shift in how we see the world. It's understanding that sometimes the greatest wealth is simply appreciating what we already hold. It's choosing peace over endless pursuit and discovering a soft freedom in knowing that just as you are and with what you have, you are, indeed, enough. It's a gentle whisper that tells us we can breathe, we can rest, because we are complete. Have you ever felt that quiet tug inside? The one that whispers no when your mouth is about to say yes? It's a common feeling, this internal struggle. We often think of saying yes as being polite or helpful, but sometimes the deepest act of kindness we can offer ourselves, and even others, is to simply say no. It's not about being uncooperative. It's about understanding where our own boundaries lie and honoring them. Saying no is really about choosing ourselves, our time, our energy, and our true desires. This idea isn't new. For centuries, thinkers have explored the importance of self-mastery and knowing one's limits. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Socrates, emphasize knowing yourself above all else. And part of knowing yourself is knowing what you can and cannot do. In more modern times, thinkers from different fields have touched on this. Psychologists talk about assertiveness, the skill of standing up for yourself in a calm, respectful way. It's not about fighting, it's about clear communication. And often, clear communication means defining what you will and will not accept. Think of it like drawing a line in the sand. That line isn't to keep people out forever, but to show where your personal space begins. Imagine a friend asks you to join a study group, but you're already swamped with homework and really need to prepare for a big test tomorrow. You might feel a pressure to say yes because you don't want to let them down. But saying yes here means less sleep, more stress, and maybe even a poorer grade on your test. Saying no, kindly but firmly, protects your well-being. It might sound like, hey, thanks, but I really need to focus on my test tonight. Maybe next time? This isn't selfish. It's being responsible for your own needs. Once you truly understand the quiet strength found in that one small word, no, you can't unsee its power. It's a tool for protecting your peace, for building respect, and for making sure your actions truly match your heart. It lets you choose what truly matters to you, creating space for the things that truly help you grow. And that's why it matters. Learning to say no wisely is a profound step in learning to say a more meaningful yes to your own life. Have you ever looked at a storm cloud gathering, dark and heavy, and wondered why it's there? Or maybe why you suddenly feel a certain way, like a small cloud has drifted over your own mood? It's easy to think some things just happen by chance, like a random gust of wind. But what if, deep down, every single cloud, big or small, real or imagined, has a reason? This is a big idea about how the world works and how we work inside it. For thousands of years, thinkers have explored this idea. Ancient philosophers, long before modern science, noticed that every action seemed to have a reaction. If you push something, it moves. If you plant a seed, it grows. They saw that events weren't just random. They were connected, like an invisible chain. They understood that nothing truly happens without something else causing it first. It's like a domino effect stretching back through time, where every event sets up the next one. Think about why you might be feeling tired one day. It doesn't just happen. Maybe you stayed up late reading, or you didn't eat enough breakfast. That tiredness, that little cloud over your energy, has a clear cause. Or, if a friend seems quiet and distant, their mood isn't just a sudden, mysterious thing. Perhaps something happened earlier at home, or they're worried about a test. That quietness is the cloud, and the earlier event is its reason. Understanding this, that nothing is truly without a reason, can be really powerful. It helps us look past the surface of things. It helps us feel less confused when challenges arise, because we start searching for the why. When we see the reasons behind things, whether it's a bad mood or a difficult situation, we can understand it better. And understanding, like a clear sky after a storm, often brings a sense of calm and a path forward. Have you ever thought about the invisible worlds that exist all around us, shaping our lives in ways we rarely notice? Imagine a bustling city, full of life, but completely hidden from our eyes. This is a bit like the world of microbes. These are tiny living things, bacteria, fungi, viruses, so small you can only see them with a powerful microscope. They are everywhere. In the air we breathe, the soil beneath our feet, and even inside our own bodies. For a long time, people didn't know these tiny creatures even existed. If milk spoiled or a wound became infected, they didn't really understand why. They just saw the results. It wasn't until the late 1600s that a curious man named Anton van Leeuwenhoek built a simple microscope and peered into a drop of pond water. What he saw amazed him. Countless tiny animalcules swimming and squirming. It was a discovery that opened up an entirely new way of understanding life, showing us that the most important work often happens beyond what our eyes can see. Here's the thing. These unseen workers do incredible jobs. Think about what happens when you finish eating a sandwich. Billions of microbes in your gut get to work, breaking down your food. They help you get the nutrients you need and even keep your immune system strong. Without them, your body just couldn't work the same way. Or think about a leaf that falls from a tree in autumn. It doesn't just disappear. Instead, tiny bacteria and fungi in the soil slowly break it down, turning it into rich dirt that feeds new plants. This cycle of decay and rebirth, the quiet turning of the world, happens mostly because of these tiny organisms. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That so much of what happens in the world, what keeps us alive and our planet healthy, relies on things we can't even see. It makes you wonder what other important unseen processes are happening all around us, influencing our lives in ways we might never fully understand. It's a gentle reminder that even the smallest things hold immense power and play a vital role in the grand dance of existence. Have you ever stopped to really think about what you're seeing? It feels like we just open our eyes and the world is there, right? But here's the thing. Your brain isn't just a window. It's more like an artist, painting your world moment by moment. What we call seeing or hearing isn't a simple recording. Your brain takes tiny bits of information like light hitting your eyes, and then it creates a picture, a story, a feeling. It fills in gaps, guesses what's there, and sometimes even makes things up based on what it expects. So the world you experience isn't just out there. It's also in here, inside your head. It's a powerful illusion, really. People have thought about this for ages. Ancient Greek thinkers, like Plato, explored this. He told a famous story, a thought experiment called the allegory of the cave. Imagine prisoners in a cave seeing only shadows on a wall. They think those shadows are real because that's all they've ever known. They don't know there's a fire behind them or a whole world outside. That's a bit like our brains, constantly building a version of reality from limited clues. We often mistake our brain's version for the complete truth. Think about an optical illusion, like those pictures that can look like two different things, maybe an old woman or a young lady, depending on how you look. The lines don't change, but your brain interprets them in two totally different ways. It's not just a trick on your eyes, it's a trick on your brain, showing you how it can build different worlds from the exact same information. And that's pretty amazing. So your personal world isn't just something you walk through. It's something you constantly, unknowingly help build. Once you grasp this, you start to see that many things we can't unsee aren't just facts out there, but tied to how your unique brain has painted its own picture. It means your personal reality is a magnificent, ongoing creation. And that changes how you think about everything you know to be true. Have you ever messed up really badly and felt that knot in your stomach? That feeling like you just did something completely wrong? Here's the thing about those moments. What if they're not just about being wrong, but about becoming deeply right in a different way? What if a mistake is actually a doorway to a kind of wisdom you couldn't find anywhere else? See, a mistake isn't simply an error, it's a discovery. It's your brain and your body learning what doesn't work, or what doesn't fit, or what doesn't lead where you thought it would. And that knowledge, knowing what not to do, is incredibly powerful. It narrows down the possibilities. It points you towards better paths. For a long time, thinkers from ancient philosophers like the Stoics to more recent inventors have understood this. Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, famously tried thousands of times before he got it right. He didn't call them failures. He saw each attempt as learning another way that wouldn't work, getting him closer to the one that would. He understood that each wrong step was actually a step forward. Think about learning to ride a bike. No one just gets on and rides perfectly the first time. You wobble, you steer too hard, you might even fall, and it hurts. But each wobbly moment, each little slip, teaches your body about balance, about how to push the pedals, about how to steady yourself. You don't learn by just knowing the theory, you learn by experiencing the mistakes. Those falls aren't just falls, they're lessons carved into your memory, shaping how you ride next time. So, here's what happens. These moments of messing up, big or small, aren't dead ends. They are vital parts of our story. They teach us patience, resilience, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. They show us what truly matters and how to find our way, even when the path isn't clear. And that's why they become things you can't unsee, because once you understand the wisdom hidden in them, you start to see every misstep as a quiet, powerful teacher. Have you ever stood by a river, just watching the water move? It seems like it's always there, always the same river. But here's the thing, it's not. Every single drop of water you see flowing past is new, never to return. The river is constantly changing, even if its shape stays the same. This never-ending movement, this constant renewal, is a lot like how time works. Long, long ago in ancient Greece, a wise thinker named Heraclitus said something pretty profound. No man ever steps in the same river twice. Think about it. By the time you lift your foot out of the water and try to put it back in, all the water that was there before has moved on. It's a completely different part of the river now. He meant that everything is always changing. Nothing truly stands still, not even for a second. Our lives are kind of like that river. Every moment, every breath, every thought you have is new. The exact second you're reading this, it's flowing past you, becoming the past even as you experience it. It will never come back exactly the same way. Think about a perfect summer afternoon you spent with friends, or a quiet moment watching the clouds. Those exact moments, that exact feeling, are gone. They become memories, just like the water that has already flowed downstream. This idea can feel a little strange, maybe even a bit sad, realizing how quickly everything moves and changes. But here's why it matters. It makes every single moment incredibly special. It reminds us that each now is unique. It's a gentle nudge to really be present, to notice the small things, the way the light hits a tree, the sound of laughter, the simple feeling of being alive. The river of time keeps moving, and so do we. We are always new, in a world that is always new. So maybe it's not about trying to hold on to the water, but learning to appreciate the journey and swim gracefully in the current. Have you ever looked back at who you were just a few years ago, maybe even a few months? And have you felt a quiet surprise at how much you've changed? Here's the thing. That feeling is about understanding the scale of your own growth. It's not just about getting taller or learning more facts in school. It's about how much you've grown inside your thoughts, your feelings, how you see the world. Think about it like this. There's an old idea from way back in ancient Greece, from a smart person named Socrates. He famously said, "Know thyself." He meant that one of the biggest journeys you can take is the journey into understanding yourself. And as you travel on that journey, you grow, you change. It's like finding new rooms in a house you thought you knew completely. Each new understanding changes the map of who you are. Consider learning to ride a bicycle. At first, it feels impossible. You wobble, you fall, you wonder if you'll ever get it. But then, one day, something clicks. You find your balance, you push off, and you're riding. And just like that, you can't unlearn how to ride. That skill, that balance, that freedom, it becomes a part of you. That moment of understanding, of doing it, truly changes the scale of your personal world. You've expanded your abilities, and that's why this matters. Your growth isn't always obvious, like a plant sprouting quickly. Sometimes it's slow, like the roots of a tree reaching deeper over many years. But every new idea you grasp, every challenge you overcome, every time you understand something new about yourself or others, you are expanding. You are building on who you were, adding new layers, seeing the world with fresh eyes. It's a quiet, steady widening of your own inner landscape, a journey that never truly ends. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt the mood? Maybe it was buzzing with excitement, or maybe it felt heavy and quiet. It's like emotions aren't just stuck inside us, right? They kind of float out, touching everything and everyone around us. This idea that our feelings spread is something people have thought about for a very long time. Ancient philosophers, like the Stoics, talked about how we are all deeply connected. They believed one person's inner state could affect the whole community, like a thread pulled in a large tapestry. They saw it like a stone dropped in a calm pond. That stone is your feeling, and the ripples? Those are the ways your feeling spreads out, getting wider and wider. So, here's the thing. Your joy isn't just for you. When you're genuinely happy, that positive energy doesn't stay bottled up. It can make others feel a little lighter, a little brighter too, without a single word spoken, and it works the other way around. If someone walks into a room feeling grumpy or really sad, it can pull the mood down for everyone else, even if no one says anything directly. It's not just about the words we use, but the invisible currents of what we truly feel. Psychologists even have a term for this, emotional contagion, which is just a way of saying emotions can catch on from person to person, much like a yawn spreads through a group. Think about a time you spontaneously smiled at a stranger, and they instinctively smiled back. Or maybe you saw someone crying, and you felt a pang of sadness yourself, even if you didn't know why. Those connections aren't random. That's the ripple effect in action. It quietly shows us something important. We're not truly separate islands. Our inner world, the landscape of our feelings, is always connected to the outer world. Every feeling, every mood we carry adds something unique to the air around us. It subtly paints a little bit of the sky for everyone else. And that's why it matters what we choose to cultivate inside ourselves. Because what we feel deeply affects the very fabric of our shared day. It's a quiet, powerful force, this ability to change the atmosphere just by being. Have you ever really thought about the hidden paths that connect everything we eat to everything else on Earth? It's one of those things you can't unsee once you truly understand it. It's like an enormous invisible web, linking every living thing. We call it a food chain, but food web shows it better. Energy starts with the sun. Plants soak up that sunlight, making their own food. Then, animals eat those plants, and other animals eat those animals. This is a continuous flow, a silent dance of life and energy moving from one being to another. Every bite you take is part of this ancient, ongoing story. Think about how people long ago living closer to nature understood this. They watched the deer eating grass, the wolf hunting the deer. They knew their own survival depended on the land. Ancient cultures had deep respect for Earth and its creatures, knowing all were part of one big system. They felt the connection, the rhythm of life and death, and then rebirth. It was a knowing that went beyond facts. It was a felt truth. Imagine that apple you ate this morning. That apple grew on a tree, drawing energy from the sun and nutrients from the soil. Tiny microbes helped in that soil. When you ate the apple, you took a part of that tree, a piece of that sunlight, a whisper of that soil, into yourself. You became part of its journey, a new link in an endless chain. It changes how you look at every meal, doesn't it? Knowing that energy from countless other living things has passed through this vast network to become a part of you. It's a quiet reminder that we are all deeply woven into the fabric of life on Earth. We are participants, connected by invisible threads to every leaf, every blade of grass, every creature that ever lived and died to sustain the great flow of existence. Take a moment. See these hidden connections. Have you ever stopped to think about what your hands are saying, even when your mouth is closed? It's a bit like a hidden conversation, always happening. Our hands don't just hold things or help us write. They tell stories, express feelings, and connect us to others in ways words often can't. Think about it. Long before we had rich, complicated languages, humans used their hands a lot to talk. They pointed to danger, waved to show friendship, or held out an open palm to signal peace. This was a very old way to communicate, simple but powerful. Some thinkers have suggested that these hand gestures are deeply wired into us. It's almost a universal way we understand each other, no matter where we're from. It's a language that goes back further than history books can fully describe, something almost primal. When someone offers you a high five after a good play, or when a friend places a hand on your arm to show they care, that's the language of hands at work. It's not just a physical touch, it's a message of support, joy, or understanding passing from one person to another. Or imagine a little child reaching out for their parent's hand in a big crowd. That tiny gesture speaks volumes about needing comfort and safety. These actions are clear, even without a single word being spoken. Once you start noticing, you'll see this silent conversation everywhere. It's in the quiet squeeze of a hand when someone is nervous, the gentle touch that says, "It's okay," or the firm handshake that means, "I agree." This language of our hands reminds us that connection isn't always about what we say, but often about what we do and how we reach out. It's a beautiful, quiet reminder of our shared humanity, weaving invisible threads between us all. Have you ever wondered if the little things you do truly matter? It's easy to feel like our daily actions are too small to make a difference in a big, busy world. But here's the thing. Sometimes, the quietest acts hold the most surprising power. Imagine a tiny seed. It carries the plan for a mighty oak tree. It seems insignificant, yet with time, water, and light, it grows into something strong and enduring. Our small acts work just like that. They might not seem like much alone, but they are seeds. Thinkers have observed this for centuries. There's an idea called the butterfly effect. It suggests a tiny wing flap can, over time, lead to big changes elsewhere. It's not magic. It's about how small shifts create bigger results. Think of dropping a pebble into a calm pond. The pebble is tiny, yet it creates ripples that spread across the entire surface. Consider your own daily choices. If you spent just 15 minutes each day reading a book or practicing a skill, that steady, consistent effort adds up. That small choice builds a lot of knowledge or skill. It's a quiet, powerful buildup. These consistent small efforts shape us and the world. They build character and habits. Slowly, gently, they change the landscape of our lives. It teaches us that our quiet choices, the ones no one else notices, are often the ones that truly matter. They show us that our strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Have you ever stopped to wonder what it truly means to understand another person? Not just to hear their words, but to feel a little bit of what they're feeling deep inside yourself? That's what empathy is. It's more than just pity, which is feeling sorry for someone. Empathy is about feeling with them, like you're walking in their shoes for a moment, seeing the world through their eyes. It's a quiet superpower, a way to connect hearts. Thinkers throughout history, from ancient Greek philosophers to modern psychologists, have explored this powerful human trait. They knew that connecting with others, Sharing in their joys and sorrows was key to a good life and a strong community. They might have called it fellow feeling or sympathy, but the core idea was the same: this deep recognition of another's experience. It's not a new idea, but it's one that has always mattered. Here's the thing. Imagine your friend is really down because something unfair happened to them. You haven't been in their exact situation, but you remember a time when you felt completely misunderstood or unfairly treated. That memory, that echo of your own pain, helps you truly grasp what your friend is going through. You don't just say, "That stinks." You feel a genuine pang of sadness for them, a shared understanding. So you offer real comfort because you get it. And that's why empathy matters so much. It's the quiet bridge between one human heart and another. When we allow ourselves to feel with others, even when it's uncomfortable, we make the world a little less lonely, a little more compassionate. It helps us see past differences and find common ground. This shared feeling, this deep understanding, helps us truly see the beauty and complexity of each person around us. It teaches us patience and kindness, revealing how connected we all truly are, even when we feel alone. Have you ever noticed how some feelings seem to spread? Like warmth from a fire, even when you can't quite see them. Think about kindness. It's not always a big, loud act. Sometimes it's just a quiet moment, a small gesture, or a gentle word. But here's the thing. These tiny acts of kindness are like invisible threads that weave through our lives, connecting us in ways we rarely see. What do I mean by an unseen thread of kindness? It's the subtle, often unnoticed impact that compassion and good intentions have on the world around us. It's the idea that even the smallest act of genuine care can ripple outwards, touching many people, even those far away. Like when someone smiles at you and it makes your whole day a little brighter, so you then smile at someone else, and the good feeling just keeps moving. This idea isn't new. Ancient thinkers like the Greek philosopher Aristotle talked a lot about how important it is to be a good person, to have virtues like kindness and generosity. He believed that doing good things wasn't just about what you did, but about shaping your character and helping your community. In a way, he understood that building a good society meant everyone contributing these small, unseen actions. It's like how a scientist might explain that every tiny atom in a structure helps hold it together. Each small act, like a single atom, is part of something much bigger, even if you can't see its individual impact at first glance. So, imagine this. You lend a pen to a classmate who forgot theirs. It's a small thing, right? But maybe that small help allows them to finish their work, which lowers their stress, and they go home feeling a little less worried. And because they feel less worried, they're kinder to their family, who then feel a bit better themselves. You didn't see any of that happen, but your small kindness was the very first thread in that chain reaction, and that's why it matters. We often don't see the full journey of our kindness, but it flows through everything, quietly strengthening the fabric of our shared world. Have you ever stopped to think about why some people just click with you? Why you feel understood by one person, but not another? It's more than just liking the same movies or sports teams. Friendship, a deep friendship, is kind of like a secret language. It's an unspoken agreement, a shared rhythm where you don't always need words to know what the other person is thinking or feeling. It's when someone sees a part of you that maybe even you didn't know was there. Here's the thing. True friendship isn't just about fun times. It's about trust, about having someone in your corner even when things get tough. Ancient thinkers, like a Greek philosopher named Aristotle, thought a lot about friendship. He said the best kind of friendship, the deepest kind, isn't just based on usefulness or pleasure. It's based on shared goodness, on wanting what's truly good for the other person and becoming better people together. Humans, for all of history, have always needed these deep connections. Our brains are even wired for them. Being truly seen and supported helps us grow and survive. Think of it like a really well-tuned musical instrument. When two instruments are perfectly in sync, they don't just make sound, they create harmony because their vibrations match. That's a bit like deep friendship. You resonate with each other. One person's joy lifts the others, and their sadness can be understood and shared without a lot of explaining. It's a quiet strength that builds up over time, not something that happens overnight. So, the deep logic of friendship is this. It's not random. It's built on mutual respect, shared values, and a quiet understanding that makes you feel less alone. Once you truly understand how these bonds work, how they shape and support us, you start to see every connection differently. You see the unspoken promises, the gentle mirrors, and the quiet power of being there for someone and having them there for you. It's a beautiful, essential part of being human. Have you ever stopped to think about how a small decision you made days, weeks, or even years ago still shapes your life right now? It's like dropping a pebble into a still pond. The moment the pebble hits, you see tiny ripples spread out. They might seem to disappear, but those waves travel all the way to the edges, touching everything along the way. That's what we mean when we talk about the echoes of choices made. Every single decision we make, big or small, sends out these silent ripples. They don't just vanish, they keep moving, affecting us and the world around us in ways we might not even notice at first. This idea that our actions have lasting effects isn't new. Philosophers and wise thinkers for thousands of years have talked about cause and effect. They understood that life isn't just a series of disconnected moments. Instead, each moment is connected to the one before it and shapes the one that comes next. It's a simple truth, really, but it holds deep power. What you do today truly matters tomorrow. Here's an example. Imagine you chose to spend just 10 minutes each day learning a few chords on a guitar or practicing a new language. At first, it might feel like such a tiny effort, almost not worth mentioning. But that choice, made over and over, creates an echo. A few months later, those 10-minute choices become the ability to play a simple song or to understand a few new phrases. The echo is a skill learned, a new passion found, or a door opened to new experiences. So here's the thing to quietly think about. If every choice sends out an echo, what kind of ripples do we want to create? It's not about judging past decisions, but about recognizing the quiet, constant power we have. It reminds us that we are always building our future one tiny ripple at a time. And that's a beautiful, unignorable truth. Have you ever stopped to wonder if the world around us isn't just a jumble of happenings, but something more? What if every single thing, your day at school, the news, the long history of humankind is actually part of one giant, unfolding story? Here's the thing. Once you see it this way, it's hard to unsee. This means our lives in the world are like a book or a movie. We are the characters. Our challenges are the plot. There are conflicts, and then moments where things change. It's a narrative we live inside. Humans have thought like this for thousands of years. Ancient cultures didn't have science like we do. They told myths to explain how the world worked, why the sun rises, or why storms happen. They found meaning this way. Old philosophers even said our reality might be like shadows on a cave wall, part of a bigger, unseen story. They looked for deeper purpose. So, how does this look in your own life? Think about your morning. You wake up, that's the start. You get ready, maybe can't find your shoes, a small problem. You head out, ready for the next scene at school. Or think about a scientist's discovery. A question appears, experiments are the plot, and finding an answer is the big reveal. History is a massive story, with characters and turning points. When you start to see the world as a story, it changes how you look at things. You search for connections and what might come next. You realize you're not just watching, you're a character too. You're even helping to write the story with every choice you make. Everything feels more connected, more meaningful, even a little amazing. Every moment, big or small, plays a part in this grand tale.